jump right on his head. They found who they need. That's a big shot down. He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kisei's not here, but what was that? It's a pentakill. Go 1-for-1 into Schön. Fire gets slammed into the wall to actually go to Olaf. There's the access shot. And he hits the lumberjack. Yeah, the point. Tries he might release the tempo active. Doesn't even want 5 seconds. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now. Welcome back, everyone. It's week 5 of the LCO, and really, quite honestly, after last week's couch performance on that game of bingo, they've started to do things a little bit differently around here, haven't they, Rusty? They've said, you know what, guys? You're casters, and now you're also the host, unless something strange like this occurs. Well, Max just showing off the guns, and we've got a new host, a new guest, and mate, what a debut.
Yeah, certainly a debut, given Nat, for reference, everyone has lost bingo, so we've had to replace Nat. So we get to welcome Quicksand to the broadcast.
That we do. Quicksand, mate, get yourself strapped in, plugged in, ready to rock and roll. How are you finding all this? How cool is this?
I ate a burrito and it was too spicy, and I tell you, I'm not good with spice. Oh, it's...
I did squeeze a little bit on his stomach as well there when I was.
Yeah, I did notice that. You gave him an extra little.
I'm sorry.
Little squeeze there. I saw that one.
And Rusty, you showed me a photo of you eating like this crazy bowl of spice before as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Look, I don't want to talk about how much spice I've had today, mate. It's a potential disaster in the making. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like a pit of lava.
It was.
But it was good. It was good.
Skimmy, what about you, mate? Can you handle your spice?
I can, but in moderation. Depends where I'm at. I love spice, but I won't eat on the show because of reasons. We all know those reasons, let's be quite honest. But at home, mate, you enjoy that pain. You enjoy that pain. And when you've got a Korean missus who wants to try and say, like, oh, you're white. White people can't handle spicy food. Mate, the ego gets in there, a little bit of stubbornness gets in there. So, mate, I'll prove you.
All right, well, before we get on with the show, we would like to acknowledge NAIDOC Week. And as we embrace the ongoing celebrations of NAIDOC Week, let's pause and express our profound respect for the traditional custodians of the land where we all reside and work. We're broadcasting this on the lands of the Wongal people, and we broaden our recognition to the lands that each participant today is connecting from.
The theme for this year, For Our Elders, serves as a poignant reminder of the deep-seated wisdom and mentorship that has been handed down across generations. We extend our respect to the elders who have come before, those who are with us now, and those who will lead us in the future. It is these esteemed individuals who guide the path forward for their communities, and we honour them today.
With this in mind, in case you've forgotten what happens last week, we have a perfect chance to take a look at it with our replays.
Verdict. Poppy can knock you back, can flash into the set if he so does desire. Has gone in early. There is the void missile, there is the damage, there is the strike. Headbutt hold into the back line. He's dead and found. Shaco gone. Baron still engaged down at 2,500. Dante untouched with the rage blade ramping. DPS getting it absolutely done as he flashes in to find his second. He gets a third, he gets a quadra. A little bit of pressure onto Gooby, and we go for Emphis. He's on his own right now. Grand Zero have to make a move. Echo's already hit that killer instinct. DKP missiles are just not enough. The grey health, the thick skin of the Tarn Kent is enough to survive. No. Bulldog goes there one more time. What was he thinking? Grand Zero are running away.
He's got EQ, Skimmy, he's got EQ.
He tried so hard. Run, Forrest, run.
Almost being able to kill the Akali mid-shuriken flip, but as we're right back into the action out of the replay, Skimmy.
Well, it's 20 minutes on the dot, and Baron is just spawned, so we're looking to try and force the fight as a result. Stein goes in, meets his maker, finds the Wukong, gets knocked up there by the Magnet Storm, says my AoE ultimate, a little bit better than yours. Jonas says isolated out raised, and then Kislich says, how dare you touch my AD carry, picks himself up at mid lane, gaining control, so they hit the first move towards Drake.
Yeah, they're potentially caught out here, Skimmy. No flash Aladoric, remember.
It certainly is the case. Kislich full HP, goes to the self-cast ultimate, then Aladoric jumps in, but the Feathery Core is nasty. Locking in place multiple members. Jonas is going to be denied for the meantime. Gets exhausted, that Gnar is not going to get the shovels after. Then gets taken out there by Biopanther, going all creative sniping more on the back end as they retreat.
TP!
But look at that TP. Decoys hits a minion. That's not what you want. And then Biopanther tries to be cute and clever, but gets shredded in that very squishy alternate. TP!
There was a TP. Good call. Glad we picked up on that one.
I'll tell you, I watched this week so much more intensely than any other one. I was like, all right, I'm on the LCO next week. I better get ready, and I got my notes down. And Vertex 2-0. Oh my god.
Yeah, look, very good showing from Vertex, particularly, you know, timing-wise for them as well, because there was this muddled mix of like 8th to 6th place, no one's sure who's going to finish where. Vertex getting that 2-0 puts themselves pretty neatly ahead on the standings for the remainder of this split, and a very good mark, a good start, I should say, for them bringing in Dante and looking clean.
Yep.
And with that, well, let's see how Vertex have shook up the standings. So, of course, up in first place, almost completely undefeated. A draw counts as defeat. They've made it to the playoffs. Chiefs are all the way through. Team Bliss, Direwolves, and Mammoth all right behind. As Vertex, Pentanet, Ground Zero, and Kanga now all struggling to stay out of those bottom 2 places.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we sort of talked about the kerfuffle at the bottom of the standings, sure, that's still there, but now the kerfuffle happens for the top 4. As we remember, going into playoffs, it's a double elimination if you are able to secure that upper bracket. So teams like Mammoth, teams like Direwolves, certainly going to be looking to try to separate themselves from the likes of Vertex and PGG.
Yeah, with that in mind, I mean, it becomes crazy, right? Who actually gets that 6th and final spot? Because, you know, Vertex have wormed them way into that position, right? Obviously, they're just above Pentanet at the moment, which is crazy. I don't think we'd ever have predicted that one coming into this situation. So the fact that Pentanet have only managed to acquire draws would be the most crazy outcome for them to draw their way into that final spot and really upset the balance. But as you quite rightly say, top 6 teams, that's what we're gunning for.
And keep that in mind, Vertex has a game today. Oh, sorry, Pentanet has a game today. And this is a great chance for them to define themselves, break away from Vertex. And they're going to be playing up against Team Bliss as well as Kanga and Mammoth Esports. That's a match of the day there, Max.
Match of the week as well.
Even better.
It's an absolute banger, right? Will the curse continue? Will PGG stay at 4 points, you know, towards the bottom of those standings? But as we take a look at our first match, Kanga versus Mammoth, we talk about this being a must-win for Kanga, right? Sitting towards that bottom of the standings. If they have any hope of getting through what is an incredibly tough rest of their schedule, they're going to have to make some showing today.
Yeah, and we'll be able to have a conversation about their schedule coming up. But for Kanga specifically, as you are going to see them in our first match of the day, it's tough for them. This is the match. If you're a Kanga fan, this is the match that you look at and say, we should win this. And God, I hope we win this one 2-0.
And it's a tough one, right? Because it's Mammoth at the end of the day, like saying, okay, well, this is our easiest matchup left. And it's Mammoth, who in their own right have certainly been coming into form with some new additions that we'll talk about later in the show.
Well, that's right. You say tough road. Luckily, we've got a panned out right here in front of us. Mammoth, what seems to be the most viable option to go towards. And then Team Bliss and Pentanet coming straight off that. While on the other hand, even though Chiefs have qualified, Ground Zero and Team Bliss will be the next things they're moving on to, so those teams also in danger. Ground Zero is why I'm looking, Skimmy.
100%. I mean, you know, just to touch on your Chiefs point for a second, I think I had the most entertaining run to the finish because obviously we've seen Ground Zero can take games of them in the past. Let's remember what happened in playoffs last split. Crazy set of circumstances went around that. And obviously their match against Team Bliss, we saw it 18 times last split. We want to see it 18 times again. We want to see, you know, if Bliss have, you know, elevated themselves enough to, you know, try and cause an upset. But quite right, to your point before, you know, you're looking at those 2 teams in the bottom right now, looking to try and vie for that 6th and final spot. Really rough now for the likes of Vertex, Ground Zero, and Kanga. So, I mean, they've really got to hope that something goes their way. Even a draw would be absolutely monumental.
So the big thing for me right now, right, and you're highlighting this already, is if Vertex stay where they are in the standings, they're at 4 points, which means you need to win 3 games as a draw or get a 2-0 win to be able to get ahead of them if you are Kanga or Ground Zero. And now look at their opponents, right? Now consider that they can't just win 1. They have to win 2 in a row against one of these teams or win every single match that happens from here. And Chiefs, Direwolves, Team Bliss, Pentanet, all of their opponents means this is a really, really difficult run home for our bottom 2 teams.
And the other thing I think we need to highlight is Pentanet's playthrough as well, because, I mean, they're up against Team Bliss now, and it's draw after draw after draw. I might as well get the pencil out and start drawing on my notebook now. The fact that they have to try and break away from these 4-0s again and again and again, oh, sorry, these 2-0s and these draws, can they do it, and why is it happening?
Not to leak my predictions, I think in terms of why it's happening, PGG as a whole are very hot and cold, and I think this comes down to the individual players as well. To me, I look at someone like Schönfire, who on his days just looks like the best player in the league, and then other times you're kind of questioning, you know, is this the same caliber of player that he once was? I think as a whole, that's sort of PGG's identity for me, in that, you know, sometimes they can look like they can contest anyone, like with the Chiefs, right? And then other times they just look like they're completely at war with one another as opposed to the other team.
Well, on that note, let's take a look at how our champions are going to war with each other. What has been picked right now? Aphelios, Rel, which I absolutely adore. Skimmy, maybe you want to take us through this.
That's right, mate. Yeah, 13-12 has seen the addition of a few new champions. You're already touching it in the Rel, but Kaiser's also risen through the ranks. This has been the patch where people have become even more of a believer for the likes of the Static Shift. We had my school of static shiv last show. Now we've seen that, you know, on this patch in particular, LeBlanc has been permanently banned. Before that was Nico. Nico's been, has a 100% presence the entire split, either banned, picked. It's always gone through. But then on this patch, LeBlanc is right up there in the mix of things. So it really is the rise of more static shiv users. Rel and Ivan have seen their fair share of gameplay as well. But no surprise that Aphelios is still at the top of the table. The only AD carry that I would say has not really given the same amount of treatment as your likes of your Drinks and Zeris and whatnot. So continues to shine the brightest.
And that's the thing, you mentioned Static with LeBlanc, who has just been so disgusting whenever she's been brought out, being able to clear waves. I mentioned to you earlier today, I think we saw it in the LEC or LPL, where we saw Uzi bring out Static Shiv on a Vayne to be able to clear waves, minion dematerializer. The tech on this item is insane. And Rusty, are there any other champions that kind of have been benefiting a lot from Static Shiv, at least in 13.12?
I'm glad that you brought up Vayne, because that's actually my #1, and the reason for that is because of Kai'Sa that is on your screens right now. So pretty much the only reason that you can pick Vayne is if it's an Ezreal or a Kai'Sa, because it's a free lane, right? And then you scale and you end up becoming a better version of them. What was your weakness? It was wave clear. Yep. What does Static Shiv provide? It completely covers your weakness. So it is actually one of those picks that I'm looking at. I'm glad that you brought it up, as we most likely will see that if certain players get their opportunity. But look, Max, I'm not seeing Puma in the league anymore. I don't know what Vayne players are left.
I don't even know if anyone would have played Vayne for like a good couple of years at this stage, to be honest. One thing I did want to say about that was that it's kind of interesting. We've had 11 games so far on this patch, and our most played is only 5 champions. And I think this has really set the tone for me in terms of the whole blue side, red side shenanigans, is that there doesn't seem to be a clear, okay, this champion just beats everything, you know what I mean? We're not seeing a champion with 100% presence. The Maokai there, most picked, has only been banned 3 times, right? There's another 3 games it's open. So to me, it's really teams are still figuring out what is strong on this patch.
And with the lack of champions being picked overall, I mean, 5 out of, it was 11 games, right?
Yep.
It's going to make the bingo that we have from the fans just a little bit harder. So, a very special from the fans today, where we want everyone to take a look at this roster of champions we have on the board and choose 5 of them to be your LCO bingo board today. Of course, the rule is you have to pick 1 from each row, or else you just choose the top row. It's a bit too easy. And when a champion is picked in the game, I want you to cross it off, keep us updated, throw them out, and let's see who can get to the end, with your goal being to get rid of all 5 champions. That bottom row actually is a little hard to choose from.
It's very hard. I'm just wondering, what was the highest number we got? Was it 4?
4.
Did one of you guys
I
get
got
4?
I had 3 in one game. I think it was the...
I think we all
you had a
struggled on
good
that bottom
game.
row.
Yeah, so if anyone gets 5, congratulations, you're smarter than all of us here on the couch.
I was looking at that bingo, and I low-key see a free 5 in there.
I do as
I
well.
didn't want to say it, because I'm not going to
No,
give it away.
There's one I'm thinking of as well,
Yeah.
mate. Probably aligned.
Do you want me to write it
Fido
down? I'll write it down. I'll write it down.
The leak, bro.
Oh,
the
oh,
script,
I
mate.
forget.
Come on, bro.
I
Hey,
forget the bottom
we
one.
haven't given you the introduction.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't
man.
tell.
Okay,
He doesn't know.
come on, come on.
LCO is completely scripted. It is.
And here are some of the submissions we have so far.
And a hard pit into
Anyway.
this.
Yep. No, of course, Ari, Draven, Milio.
Okay.
Camille. We were hyping up Camille on the show last week or something, right?
See, the thing is to me is you have Chippies playing today. The other candidate I would say is likely to play Camille is Zorinus. He's not playing today. This is a bit of a hard sell for me. I would love to see it, Oscar.
I would love
Hard
to see
sell.
Shinky play it.
Shinky's gonna be playing it, yeah.
If Shiki plays Camille, I don't even know. But yeah, look, I think everyone else, good. Camille, obviously that last row is meant to be hard. It's designed to be difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, another one coming up now. Sion, Luke. Well, I gotta say,
Why has he done this? Carbon has literally made himself a champion.
are you allowed to make memes yourself? Is that like step in the fourth wall too
We're
much?
picking 5, right? And he's decided
Picked
that
4 in himself.
4 in himself.
Also, those
Wait,
champions
can we
aren't those
confirm that
champions.
he only picked 4? So he only picked 4, and we added Carbon in, just to be clear.
What is Carbon as a
Well,
champion?
not a reader, that's for certain.
No.
Lee Sin, Muay Thai Lee
Yeah,
Sin.
that's
Muay Thai Lee Sin.
Muay Thai Lee.
Muay Thai
Alright,
Lee
if
Sin.
you see Muay Thai Lee Sin, that's Carbon.
The Emil skin.
We will give
Yeah,
him
the
a
American
5th
skin.
champion. There you go. Well done, Carbon.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim, mate.
A couple more coming up. We got LeBlanc this time. I don't
Yep.
know about that one, man.
No.
It's not presence, right? It's if it gets
It's
locked into the
picked.
game.
It has
Has
to be picked. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Nat fell victim to that. She's like, oh, it's going to be so broken. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
she
just
did.
not
Yeah.
going to pick,
Yeah,
mate. It's going to
exactly.
be perma-banned.
This one's good, though.
It's a full 5. It's full comp.
Yeah, it's a full
Yeah.
comp, so higher chance, you would say. You know, extra games, you have to double up in the same role. But LeBlanc, I think I'm with you guys. Probably just banned, not picked the whole week.
Yeah.
So.
Has she been picked at all besides that Daystar game?
It was played on 13-11, and then everyone's like, oh, this champion's kind of broken. Perma-banned.
Yeah, I don't think it was played since. I
don't think so, no. Gone.
Yeah. Another.
Last one keeps LeBlanc. Okay, I would love to see someone get all 5 in one game. If
Anyone
this happens,
else?
That would be
say
crazy.
it boldly.
Is anyone else just reading this and looking at the images and in your brain just being like,
The different age.
I'm
It's
feeling
not in the
dyslexic?
order. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it isn't in order.
I
Oh,
just
man.
thought I'd point
Why'd
that
you
out
point
to
that out,
everyone.
dude? I was
You're
looking
all
at the pictures,
welcome.
Yeah,
and
just
that's
get
it.
sell out our
Have you
production
seen
staff there.
the fasting Aphelios tech?
Oh, yeah.
When Blitzcrank farms and Aphelios is like, yeah, mate, I've got
Oh,
guns.
have you seen my Blitzcrank?
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
Definitely
mate.
don't
Farming off the
sit
gold
lane.
items, yeah, mate.
Yeah.
I had a Yomu's and like speed-based blitz the other day. He just run around, bonk you in the head, pull you in.
Yep.
Actually, not a bad build.
That'd hurt now too. The
That would.
Emax.
viable,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What do you call it? The Floyd Mayweather Blitzcrank build?
Inside, bob and weave.
Did you just name the one boxer, you know?
That's the only boxer I know.
Yeah, because he's not a one-hit.
Well, he's a defensive boxer.
Well,
isn't he?
yeah,
I know that
he
much.
like
Yeah.
dodges. He's quick.
Yeah.
He's quick. I
Yeah.
think that passes. Either way,
Mate, I know my
Blitzcrank's
NBA.
got
Yeah,
one.
Michael Jordan, mate. Yeah,
Come on.
Floyd Mayweather.
Chicago
That
Bulls.
reference.
I know football, Messi. Yeah, mate.
well, hopefully we see Messi being locked in, aka Emilio today. Let's take a look at the Kanga roster. And I think that's the only thing I wanted to point out as well is Big Man Jake has actually been the one to lock in Big Man Messi. Kicking around the soccer ball everywhere. Emilio seems to be one of Jake's highlight champs if locked in.
That's right. Yeah, no, absolutely. He's been the one that's basically driven the momentum to say, pick up this champion. Obviously, its ultimate is phenomenal for cleansing out of a lot of really dicey situations. And I'm really curious to see how this bot lane can shape up because, you know, ultimately I feel like Jake has had this clear goal of initiation to try and let his team find those angles to try and give a platform to Fido, I think, to excel. Mayfine, obviously, we know has been really up there as a very skirmish-heavy jungler, wants to get up there in the kill participation. But overall, it's not been the strongest. They seem to struggle a fair bit in the mid-game, trying to find themselves, especially in the side lanes, away in a sort of safe passage into these big, decisive late-game team fights. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to shape up overall, because I think they've definitely got some areas that could, you know, do with a little bit of extra attention. Obviously, you've got Shinky as like an autofill top laner. It's going to hurt a fair bit, but I would love to see them almost knuckle down a little bit more towards, let's just play for a comp that spikes at mid-game, and maybe not try and focus on this whole idea of like Fido plays a Corki, Azir, Cassiopeia, and like, hey guys, AFK till 16, I'm farming, I'm split pushing, see you soon.
And then on top of that, we also get to take a look at Mammoth's roster, who maybe opt a bit more to a volatile game, whether it's smashing out the early game and then absolutely dominating, or maybe struggling a little bit and taking the lead. They've been a big dark horse this tournament. And I think Yosan, also on support, is something I want to point out.
Yeah, so Yosan definitely has been the star of the show for me. I'm a big fan of Yosan and the way that he's been able to play. And now he also has Dragku backing him up, right? So that's the star of the show that we really should first and foremost talk about because he is, as of this week, the latest addition to this squad. Dragku's going to be coming in as the head coach for the team, of course, has experience in championship rosters locally. Has also gone over to North America and has since returned with TSM Challengers, even played at DreamHack, if you guys missed that. That was an event the LCO was at, so I don't know how you missed that. But he's back here with Mammoth now. I'm very excited to see what he can do for this squad and if he can work with someone like Yosan, right? That is that hyper-aggressive, hot-blooded support player that I think is just exciting to watch.
And they were talking about it, right? All across the board, this team is mechanical aggression, right? You need that someone to reel it in, and Dragku, obviously having so much experience, so much pedigree, is able to do that. But what I wanted to talk about is I kind of feel like these two teams are basically mirror images of each other. That's not the right word. They're complete polar opposites is what I was going for here. So, Kanga, right? They sacrifice their side lanes. They just want to play for mid, right? Mid jungle support. Everyone's rotating there. Whereas Mammoth, it almost feels like your mid laner is the one you're kind of like, okay, you know, go survive for 15 minutes while our top lane and bot lane smash the lane. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see who's sacrificing where and whether that gives up something in other lanes.
Well, hopefully, if anyone's put down Corki in their champ select, it's time to, their bingo, it's time to ask the big man himself if he's going to lock it in. We have Fido on the line. G'day, mate. Hello, you there?
G'day, fellas. Just came out of the shower, excited, fresh, clean, ready to play some League.
Looking fantastic there.
Okay, Max, I think you had something to start us off with?
Yes, okay, I did. So, you guys have a pretty tough rest of schedule, if we're being completely honest. Do you guys feel like this has impacted how you're preparing, how you're feeling mentally at all?
No, we're just taking it one game at a time, and I think saying it's tough is a little bit like it's teams like you can say that Team A is better than Team B, and then Team B is better than Team C. It doesn't mean that Team A is going to win against Team C. So I think the head-to-head thing doesn't add up. Like against Mammoth and Pentanet, I think we would have a much easier time than against Direwolves or Bliss.
Okay, that's interesting. And I guess as a veteran on this roster alongside Jake, do you feel like you've had any more impactful role, reeling in your younger players, especially Shinky, obviously role swapping in this split?
Yeah, we've been trying to do what we can to rally the troops, get the boys on the same page. But I think at this point it's too late to do that. So all that any of us can do is just play the best in our lanes, focus on ourselves, and then see if that gets us the win.
On top of that too, it feels like whenever I see you in a game, you're such a fantastic player that all the other teams, it's like they got a sniper on your back, a big red dot. And have Kanga been able to adapt to the fact that it feels like a lot of other teams are focusing you?
I think that we have some ideas of how to deal with that, and maybe you'll get to see that tonight.
All right. Last thing I want to hear from you as well is what keeps you playing League? I know you've been playing for so long, and you seem to have such a passion for it to get these newcomers up and growing. What motivates you to keep playing split after split after split?
I mean, it's just like your internal progression, right? Like, I think if you're struggling outside of the game, you'll struggle in the game, and the only way to be the best is to become the best version of yourself outside of the game as well. So that's a good motivator. Like, if you want to be the best at League, you got to fix your other issues as well.
All right, awesome. Thanks for coming in, mate. Good luck with your game.
No worries, guys.
I just want to say as well for Fido, there's a couple of things I thought were very funny about that interview. One is that he's been on this desk before, he's shoutcasted for us now, so we know how much that man can talk.
Yeah.
But when he comes into an interview, it was like he's switched the flick and he's on like gamer mode, serious mode. Like he has no time for these questions because he's so focused on the game ahead. You know, you're getting those, oh, we'll see. Type of answers from him. Like that's how focused he's like, I'm not saying anything. Like I'm focused on what's ahead of me. And then I also appreciate the mindset of fitness outside can be fitness in the Rift, right? Fitness being a general word, not saying just go to the gym, even though that's probably where all our brains went. Yeah. I respect that outlook a lot, and I think it's very true.
And you two probably have experience with that, having played professionally. And I think this kind of relates to Draku now being the Mammoth coach. If you've seen that guy, he has got some guns on him.
He does.
Does staying fit and staying mentally healthy outside the game really boost your gameplay that much?
I think it absolutely does, and I think as Fido, someone who's been doing this for so long, he knows that. He's learned that from personal experience. I think, like Rusty said, it's not just fitness, it's your whole mental health and your approach, your diet, your sleep, making sure you're getting all that right. I feel like especially some of the younger players have this tendency to think, okay, the more I play, the better. But there's definitely a point of diminishing returns there where if you're grinding for 16 hours a day, you're just making yourself feel bad. So it's nice to hear Fido. It's quite refreshing actually to hear that, you got to prioritize other stuff as well, not just in-game.
Maybe that's what we start with. We've got another caller on the line. Darjean, hello. How you going, mate?
Hello, Quicksand. Hello, Max. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm really good.
We are great. Darjean, I wanted to ask you a question quickly about Mammoth, this team who you got carries in every single role. How do you go on a game-by-game basis and say, okay, you get to take the reins this game, instead this game we're going to sacrifice for you? How do you decide that as a team?
I think all of it just depends on draft. Obviously, like depending on the players we're versing, who thinks they have advantage in certain lanes, that impacts it a lot. But I think everyone in the team is willing to like take a back seat, like let someone else carry, play for top, bot, mid, whatever it is, or even jungle for Sully, right? And I think it's just everyone just being willing to just take the back seat. I think that's the biggest part of everything, I guess.
And on top of that, we just heard Fido talking about how he likes to stay fit outside the game, stay mentally healthy. With Draku coming on, has he been working you guys to go to the gym, work out, or do you even implement that yourself when you train for League?
I mean, it's just basic exercise, right? Like, I think it's very important because I used to play a lot of sports when I was in like high school and stuff. I think it's very important to keep like your body somewhat healthy. Like, if you're just at home, just eating cup noodles every day, it kind of like, it's mentally taxing and physically, so you get tired a lot easier, you don't focus for longer. Dragon's definitely helped a lot. Like, he's making very sure like everyone has good sleeping schedules. I think that's like, very important. Eating meals at the right time, drinking water, all that. He has a lot of experience when it comes to that, so I think it helps. I think it's helped a lot.
And now I want to hear a little bit more about your playoffs run, because we're only 2 weeks away from making it there, and you guys are sitting above Pentanet. Are you worried about the next upcoming matches you have? Are you trying to get inside that top 4? Is that a goal you've set for yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think our team really expects to make top 4 somewhat easily. Maybe somewhat easily is a bit rough, but I think all of our players, like, we're here to win. It's either top 2 or bust for us. So we have very high expectations placed on ourselves. So we're very excited to play in the playoffs, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you very much, mate, and good luck with your game.
Thank you. See you guys.
I like that he's getting them to drink more water as well.
Yep.
With how we've been doing all the sip cams, I think we might be seeing more of that from Mammoth.
And what is the #1 thing people forget to do?
It's drink water.
Drink water. I'm hungry. No, you're not. No, you're not. Drink water.
This has turned into a fitness cast. Like we just turned into a health and fitness like.
Look, I'm saying we've got ammunition
broadcast.
here, you know?
I
Like,
love it.
They set us off. It's very easy to just go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Maybe
I do
we
weighted mouse turns. That's what I hold a mouse on my desk. Just 5 kilos.
Sit-ups from lying down in my secret lab, just going back up.
I've got
Yeah,
like,
Q sit-ups.
you get, like the canned fruit, you're doing wrist curls, you don't get carpal tunnel and everything. Yeah, mate, you just got the whole 9 yards all at the ready.
Got my cup noodle rotations.
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
mate.
Perhaps we've had our ADCs play a little bit of wrist turning or practicing, getting some up in the gym. We've got a nice little head-to-head here of Voice facing up against Jayon.
Yeah, and I think this is an interesting matchup, right? Because Chan's been playing really well this split so far. I think him and Yosan have been a phenomenal bot lane duo that can certainly contest to be one of the top 4, if not higher, in the entire league. You can see some pretty strong carry performances on all your, a typical hyper carries like your Jinx, Zarya, Philios, and so on, right? You can see from the stats as well. KP's through the roof. He's really involved in a lot of these team fights. A lot of their success comes around him. And obviously then the damage share, bit at 30%, is right up there with some of the best. You then do a bit of a comparison between himself and Voice. And I think Voice has been really underperforming for this split in particular. I think of his splits gone by, even when he was on Mammoth, for example. You'd think of games on like the Drave and the Kog'Maw. We've seen Yasuo, Neela, all these initiation ideas of like, I want to be the star of the show, I want to play aggressive. I'd always remember that time when he played the Samira and he was just trying to 1v9 with the Inferno trigger. I think he's taking a bit more of a backseat role, either that or he's just not really hit the same kind of form that he's had in previous splits. But I'm sort of curious where that comes from, if that's like a personal dip. I was kind of expecting great things with Jake coming into the roster to try and be that more leadership experience role, to try and elevate them as a duo. But when you see him play the likes of like a Seraphine or a Ziggs, it's more like, I'm going to try and give us that steady ship where, Jake can roam, I can farm, 10 CS per minute, whatever it may be. Mid-game we're going to spike, and it kind of loops back to my point before, what I think Kanga should really focus on mid-game.
And to me, this is something that I think I need to see from Kanga, right? Because Fido mentioned it in his interview. They know that everyone's targeting him, right? You need to have something else in the wheelhouse that you can threaten teams with. Whether that is a Draven and saying, okay, we're going to play Draven Nautilus and just slam bot lane. That's going to catch a lot of teams off guard who have come into this series expecting everything to be sacrificed for Fido.
And then on the other side, we see that Chayon's been locking in champions like Jinx, champions like Zeri, which currently aren't as present in the meta, with Aphelios, who has been one of our most picked champions, as we saw in the graphic earlier. Is Aphelios one of those champions who, though has been picked a lot, been performing well?
Yeah, I mean, overall, Aphelios has been performing perfectly fine. The reason it is picked so much, though, is because it's the most blind pickable, I think, AD carry in the mix. Like, even Draven, if you want to pick a Draven into it, Aphelios can survive. Because he has range, he has sustain, he has crowd control, he has wave clear. It all depends on the weapon that he has, right? But the fact that he has all of that just puts him in this really nice place. So win rate, I don't think is relevant for Aphelios when he fulfills his role in the team, which is something that can just be picked and will just be fine no matter what.
Okay, now is the moment of truth. The greatest guessing game of all time. Gentlemen, I hope you have your predictions in. It's time for side select.
Oh, wow. It's...
Oh!
Blue side. They trolled us. Okay, so to get into this, first of all, we were trying to guess pre-show.
I was like, is this a bit? Like,
we were
going along
we were
with
trying to
this?
guess pre-show, and they said that these weren't the actual ones, but they ended up being the actual ones. So to me, what's interesting is the double blue. Obviously, we were tossing up whether that's going to maintain, continue being the priority. What this says to me is that, when you're on blue side, you have a bit more freedom to give those bans specifically to someone like Fido, right? You're able to take off Cassio, Azir, Tristana, whatever you feel like you need to remove. And I think that's what Mammoth is saying, is that, hey, we, counterpick would be nice, but making sure Fido doesn't get on what he wants is more important.
And of course, the most important thing is our Dare fan vote. Max, this moment you and me especially enjoy.
Right
Up there.
Selling right at...
They're doing well, by the way. You guys are doing... You've brought it back. I think they're at... We'll see later, but I think about 12 predictions correct. So shout out to
was
you
struggling
guys.
early, right?
They were. They brought it back.
Yeah, well done.
Also, how I swear you guys were talking about how hard it is to point at the Dare fan vote thing. I feel like it was right there, isn't it?
With its soft toy, when you try to move its arm like this, it gets a bit hard. Like
It's the
working in a
whole
mirror.
camera stage left that it gets you
Yeah.
sometimes. But if you're at the DreamHack event, the crowd knows that pain. I'll say that much. You'd point up here, everyone was like, there?
And I got to do this one today. Finally, I got to step up above chat and get my own predictions in. Sorry, guys. Nat, obviously, before the show, I got to get a peek into her mindset about how she does her predictions. I saw in the Discord. Give me what Max picks.
She's smart. She's on the bandwagon, the right bandwagon.
I really thought you were going to be like, massive algorithm, can't reveal the information. Like
the spreadsheets up, multiple monitors,
behind it.
calculating.
yeah.
Well, that's
It's like
what you
getting
do,
Taylor
right?
Swift
Yeah.
tickets.
And it looks like all of us 2-0 towards Mammoth. Kanga, they feel like they're going to put up a good fight, but Mammoth have just been so exciting to watch. Even though I used the word volatile earlier, I still think that this 2-0 feels comfortable for them.
Yeah, I think Mammoth should come into this one pretty confident that they can get the job done in relatively easy fashion. I would always give it to Kanga that they've been so close on so many different occasions to actually getting across that final hurdle to get that dub. It's just not fallen in their favor. But I think up against Mammoth, it just seems like with the recent addition of Draku, more coaching staff, more members, you know, similarly aligned on the same bandwagon, clearly having a great understanding of what works for them in the meta. You've got TM playing carries, players sacrificing for the greater good. I think it's too much to ask.
Yeah, and to me, this matchup is one where the individual player gaps is going to be really exacerbated. I think top lane, especially TN, one of the most dominant lane players. I'd say the best top laner in lane so far in this split against Shinky. No disrespect to Shinky, but obviously newer player, settle down. And bot lane as well, we saw the damage difference before. Yosan, best support in the league. Cheon, having a great split. So to me, it's going to be a bit too hard to bring back those side lanes.
I have to advocate my Vinky, Shinky
Vinky?
villain arc, the Vinky.
Oh, a little pet name coming out nice and early.
Da Vinci?
Yeah.
So I'm staying tuned for that. The Shinky
Vinky, I
villain
just
arc.
clicked. It's a work of art, Karma.
Please, boys, take us away.
Oh, and with that segue,
Yeah, well done.
wipe
well done,
the screen
Skimmy.
into
The
champ select.
self-segue.
Unbelievable set of segues as we get to digress and figure out, okay, what is getting banned? And straight at the gates from Kanga, they say no Rel, no Ivan, Sully. A little bit too easy for you on that one. Nico continues its 100% presence, and now we need an LeBlanc, and everything is right in the world.
Yeah, so Kanga on blue side here have gone for 3 meta bans. Meta specifically with Mammoth in mind with the Ivern, right? But three more meta bans where Mammoth on the other side here have gone for the Kindred, they've gone for the Trist. Probably looking at another mid lane champion, right? LeBlanc of that necessity. So anyone with bingos not getting LeBlanc this game is going to be banned away by Mammoth. Kanga, however, still with a wealth of options. Obvious choices right now for the bingo fans out there. I think Cassante, etc. still going to be available, right? Jungle Pool still going to be there. 80 carries, you're looking at potential options like the Kai'Sa here. Does leave open the floor though, Skimmy. Plenty of AD options. We floated a Vayne earlier. I'm sure we can.
We do, yeah, absolutely. And I know that Cheon is a massive fan of any kind of hyper carry, so I'd love to see him, you know, play a matchup into this one to try and punish the Kai'Sa in the laning phase. Well, with the pick of the litter, I guess Mammoth can really go any kind of direction they want here, and if they say you don't take the Cassante, we'll just scoop that one up for ourselves. It's been a long time since we've actually seen the mid flex of the champion as well, I might add, so it's seemingly just being played in top lane, but that's how they're going to open things up.
Yeah, lock in the Cassante straight away. Now, you could go for a support here if you wanted to, or you could just match the AD carry role. Again, it depends on what your preferences are at the moment in this draft, so lock into Cassante, your flex is covered. You definitely shouldn't go for a mid laner just in case. In terms of jungle priority, with Ivan being gone, that doesn't do anything to the jungle pool, right? You still got your Viegos, etc., Wukongs, etc. still going to be there. Vi does still exist as a decent pick right now as well.
Yeah.
But I think we've been seeing a little bit less Vi, just here and there around the world. As it's going to be the Aphelios for Mammoth. Again, business as usual for both of these teams, with the one exception perhaps of that Croc. But I will say, Skimmy, if we've ever seen Reactant, it is into Cassante.
Yes, and it can certainly be a fun time for those two to brawl it out. The Azir comes out, I'm sure, to really nobody's surprise. It was last played in their last game up against the Direwolves as well, and it does scream that this is going to be the case of you can't ban everything against me. But Darjean finally gets to play the Zoe. I've been screaming for it for such a long time. And he said, this is the game for it. I think I asked him the other day, hey, what are we thinking, Static Shiv? Is it Rabadons? All depends on the lane, all depends on how you want to try and snowball things out. I'm curious to see how he approaches into Fido, given the amount of smack talk that those two had when they were on the couch with us.
He's got that Static Shiv build on him, mate. He's got that Static Shiv tech, that dark technology. Will be exciting to see if he does go for that one. Of course, into the Azir, into the Kai'Sa, his damage is going to be quite high. So I would like, personally, perhaps the Luden's build. Nevertheless, Sejuani, the first ban to be taken away. Renekton already locked in, makes it a pretty dangerous 2v2. And I think those junglers that everyone would have been considering in their first three, if Azir didn't get locked and Zoe was matched, they probably were picked themselves. Now going to be banned away.
Yeah, it begs the question, are we going to continue to go down the rabbit hole of banning away these junglers as a result, likes of Wukong, perhaps even a Maokai in there as well, you know, sort of champions that give you that ease of access. Perhaps a Viego is going to be considered as well, despite there being a double AP mid lane. Kai is still just that strong. Ease of access. Ability to contest these major objectives.
Yeah, just waiting to see where they choose to go with their last ban. Alistar, so the Yersan special actually does get target banned away from him. Alistar, you know, the funny thing about this Ali pick, right, is enchanters don't like dealing with an Alistar for sure, but banning the Alistar when Nautilus, etc. are still up is one of those picks that's like, I guess.
Bet how you going?
Like, I guess you just want to get rid of it because he's so comfortable, and he is good on that pick, so I get that he commands that respect, but I don't think we'll be surprised if this last pick support just gets the freedom of another engaged champion anyway.
Well, outside of the Alistar, we've seen the game on the Rakan from Yersan. I'd like to see what else he'd have in his wheelhouse. Give us a cheeky blitzcrank, perhaps. Anything
That'd be sick.
Along those lines, right, to get a little bit more excited and, you know, cheer towards the support players. What did Kanga decide to go for then? Wukong still up and available, decide to go for the Graves instead. And we once upon a time did see Shinky player in the top lane, but we're going to see it in the jungle here today. And the Braum, which seems to be another one of these champions you were deliberating on a little bit as we came into today.
Yeah.
Is it the go-to?
I think if you're going to go for the Graves, Braum feels right. Renekton, Braum, decent combo. Kai'Sa, Graves, all auto attackers as well to work with this Braum really nicely. Jake, if you were to summarize him in a champion style, it's Nami or Braum, right? That's his, very similar to Decoy actually.
Sure.
Into the champions that they often play. They can flex towards the Nautilus, etc., but this is the heart and soul of what we're used to seeing from him. Rakan going to be the follow-through. We've seen a lot of Rakan into Braum as well, because Braum quite simply cannot lock you down. It is not a stun. It requires 4 hits. Rakan can slice and dice, kite his way through those skirmishes, get his engage off, unperturbed, and just get back out with those dashes perfectly fine. So it's one of those matchups that feels favorable for Rakan most of the time. Doesn't mean Braum's going to die, but it's favorable to be able to get past the Braum to put damage onto those carries and find some access to the back line. But with that in mind, Skimmy with the champs completely locked in. Kanga's composition with that Braum can be extremely dangerous early, right? There can be a lot to look forward to with this team. I'm personally looking forward to seeing how the jungler moves with Jake, right? If Mayfan and Jake are moving together, I think they'll be at their most dangerous.
Definitely have some lanes to target to try and snowball them nice and early to give them that sort of substantial bit of power they need to excel, to make sure that the mid game certainly does go their way. The big thing I want to suppose, you know, throw out is the fact that Sully's under Trundle. I mean, we've not seen Trundle at all for such a hot minute. Is it really a case of so many beefy boys that subjugate stocks are just infinitely rising?
Yeah, the funny thing about this Trundle pick as well, right, is I believe it was a 4th pick blind into the jungle role. Graves can just dash over the pillar, right? Like, there's mobility to just get out from that one. So I guess you're left wondering what exactly is the Trundle going to provide. Well, if you subjugate a target and the Zoe bursts that target, they're dead.
That's scary.
And that's scary.
It certainly is.
That's scary.
Well, let's load ourselves into Rift here. Week 5 of the LCO is upon us. And, well, these teams getting strapped in and ready, and that much closer now to the inevitable, which is playoffs. Teams definitely need to acquire as many as they can. For Kanga, this is their big ticket to try and make sure they can make the top 6. As for Mammoth, a big ask to guarantee that upper seed bracket with a top 4 finish.
Without math in the equation, the most important thing of all of that is it must win for Kanga. We just look at this series, we all look at this series and say it is a must win for Kanga. At the very least, 1 map, because it is uphill from here. Though Fido may not agree with that, might be thinking favorable matchups are ahead of him. They're taking it 1 game at a time, as you heard from their interview. We still see this from the lens of you need to get those wins now. And first and foremost, an Ignite start for Darjean in mid lane with the Electrocute means that he's looking to put out some damage.
Yeah, definitely looking to try and burst people down nice and early, and hopefully looking to try and pad his stats as well. Most played champion, doesn't have the most handsome win rate. We'll be looking to try and get another win added on the board to showcase that, hey, my pocket picks to actually justify what they can really provide. And you mentioned already that the fact that if Mayfan and Jake can look to link up nice and early, it could look to try and stem a lot of their early game, because that really has been their weakness, right, Rusty? You look at the amount of gold they're down at 15 minutes, plates, any kind of pressure towards objectives like the Herald, they're last in all of those categories, so hopefully they can link up and, you know, put that pressure on the map.
Yeah, they definitely want to try and link up where possible. Just looking for the Electrocute procs in mid, which is why Fido was so apprehensive. Darjean forces that one. They didn't do anything at level 1 though with that linking up. One of the most unique strengths that a Braum has is in most level 1 situations, all you have to do is auto attack and everyone has crowd control. So Braum can be devastating to deal with. They're going to opt to the side of caution, however, as Shinky, I mean, just look at the wave state of top lane right now, 2 levels in. That's feeling real bad for this Croc. That's a wave sitting nicely for Tian, comfortably for Tian.
Yeah.
Shinky had to go and place a ward at the tri-bush just to see if he could spot them. They have vision for now, but that safety feels a little bit fleeting.
Yeah, it's a little bit terrifying realizing that I need to try and make an aggressive stance in this lane to make sure it does crash, but at the same time be concerned that potentially it opens up the door wide and open to allow a jungle gank to come through and a first blood go against me, and Renekton that certainly doesn't want to be behind. Lots of aggressive trading to be seen in the mid lane, and it continues topside as well, whereas that is Tien looking to try and drag him back with the Entofu strikes, but Shinky making sure that HP bars stay equal.
Manages to get the rage bar back up, so with one big Q through everything, can get some health back, but right now with this wave state, if you do that, it could start pushing. So you have to be very particular where you choose this. He actually just wasted the rage empowered Q to get a triple auto attack stun off instead.
Yep.
And so his health sustain is not there. That could be impactful right now, and absolutely can have implications for the rest of this. This is the most excited I've ever been about top lane in my life, in maybe 3 years.
I think this is the most amount of time we've had a camera looking at top lane, the split.
The spectators, the observers are like, man, they're still talking about this lane. We have to
We're
stay
invested.
here. Oh, it's a disaster. Kazante is probably the most exciting to watch tank in top lane, though, to be fair.
Mayfan did pick up the Scuttle Crab. Fido did TP back to mid lane as a result of all that pressure. Does have the TP advantage into Darjean, who does have obviously the Ignite to try and get that kill pressure. But it was Mayfan potentially wrapping around to look into top lane. Just plants another ward, make sure they have eyes in the sky to know exactly where Sully is, as you can see right now on your screen.
And nice little ward spots him. Yersan also was hovering the same area. Isn't going to continue the path, though. He's actually just moving back towards bottom lane. And still, he's just going to look towards that Krug camp. So bot going to be left in what is this 1v3, but has vision to support him if anyone were to run down there. Yersan just helping to crash mid. Every time we've looked mid, Fido's been harassing for each time that Darjean tried to push, and all of those pushes never resulted in a crash. So Fido is managing his wave really nicely to ensure that situation, but does find himself a little bit of CS down. And that's really the tale of the tape here for a lot of these lanes. Mammoth are just farming a little bit better than their respective opponents right now. Aphelios handles lane really well. I don't think it's too much of a surprise that he's dealing with the Kai'Sa. You saw top, that's the biggest difference right now.
It certainly is. As Mayfan once again makes his mind up and says, I'm coming to bot lane. Just going to hover here in the tri-bush as it looks like a double reset's going to come out from either side, looking to try and make their way back for that first big shot. Doran's Blade start for Voice as opposed to the Carl here from Churn. He's going to pick himself up a quiver on his return. An overwhelming majority believing that Mammoth do have this one in the bag, very much aligned with what we believe to be the case as well. As they're going to look to try and utilize for the reset pressure to go for the first Drake.
Good little set play here from Mammoth, right? I think it's just Yersan calling this one, acknowledging the ult in top.
Yeah, Tien going for the all-out mode. That's going to force out the dominance here from Shinky. Going to go in for the slice and dice once again. Tries to buffer it nicely with the unstoppable, but it's going to come out worse for wear. A little bit less volatile now in the top lane with that down.
Chen will deactivate his all-out mode now. He does have plated steel cap, so he's a little bit more tankier, deceptively so perhaps than that of Shinky, who is more sustain-based. But Shinky getting the better of that trade will help a lot with top lane. State quickly with that Drake as well. Yersan, I think, recognized that Jake and Voice were looking for a reset themselves, so a nice little call to bring down the Trundle and Sully. We'll be able to secure that one. Very early Drake to get as basically solo also.
Might be
spotted.
perfect reset timing, just going to miss him, but Darjean is going to look to use the terrain for the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Just shy of connecting down to Shinky, who may have just been far enough away anyway with the slice away.
Who's in bottom right now as well as the Trundle. They're fighting in just the 2v2 anyway, very low in their health bars.
Just winning.
Just winning.
Completely bullied out a lane in that straight 2v2, red and white, and it's certainly a bit of a delight to watch it come to full effect. All that pressure is not only giving them a substantial CS advantage, but actually working their way towards that first turret plate too.
One other thing that I think we should just constantly keep our eyes on is the item choice for Voice.
Sure.
We've seen some, I will say, dark technology. We've seen some real voodoo magic going on with these Kai'Sa builds, with the item changes, right? Like, how do we get an efficient Q evolve? How do we get an efficient triple evolve? What is the build? What does it look like? We've seen some absolute nonsense running around. So if he goes that pathway, we will cross.
We're back.
We are back.
We lost comms for 2 seconds there, so you got to enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet from us. But to your point, Rusty, as you mentioned, yeah, curious to see which build Voice goes for. We've seen the Nash's 2, Static Shiv, Rage Blade with the AP variant, as opposed to what was maybe the usual Kraken Slayer.
I think the latest one is like Serrated Dirk, Pickaxe, and then Serrated Dirk or something. Like, it's real odd.
Anything to rush the Q evolve?
Ghost.
Oh, Ghost is on, and we're looking to try and make it happen. Double Ghost response. There goes the Moonlight Vigil, but just out of range. I mean, never going to really hit that one from a million miles away with the Chakrams loaded up like such.
If your Rakan was 6, or if that was a purple weapon, then maybe you had a chance. But really, that was just a Ghost used. But we turn our attention towards the Rift Herald. Spoke about that mechanic before. You place down the pillar, Graves simply dashes over it. But what happens with this Herald is the question.
Well, Sydney looking to disengage away, but then Tien takes Shinky away from the fight. The Herald will reset. Shinky still locked in place. He's going to look to try and go all in for the fight, just out of range. Tien's flash, he's baited. Shinky is in so much trouble and is going to fall on down at the 9-minute mark. That is first blood there for Mammoth. And Kanga just a little bit too late to back it up and try and find something else.
First blood secured, a lot of the work done. Bottom's going to be a flash from Voice as well. Don't think he's going to chase that one through with the killer instinct of his own. But the play in top, successful for Mammoth in the way of getting kills. Look at the overall goal difference as well. The plays in bottom, this is significant. This is certainly a big deal. Kanga they got a Herald. They'll be able to trade an objective for that kill that happened in top lane, but they can't do anything about bottom Skimmy. And this is starting to run away from them in just the 2v2.
It really is. They get the first blood, they get 3 plates. They've already got a substantial 20 CS lead as well. Chain is just winning. And it goes back to our point of this bot lane comparison between the two of them. In hot form are Mammoth's bot lane right now. It all starts off here initially for the contestant Herald.
Yeah, so really nicely done from Tien to find his angle right. Separates the Graves from the Renekton so that it is just a 1v1. There's a really close 1v1 at that. One auto attack perhaps a piece from getting that kill. Sully flashes. Darjean ultimately has to flash here as well as the Graves pressure and collapse from Fido, and Jake was about to be there. Better safe than sorry. Will net themselves, you know, summoner spells 1 kill, but not really worth it in the scope of the whole map.
No, pretty quiet game overall though. 10 minutes in and only now just fighting that first blood. Nothing too surprising really for both of these teams. Until something like this potentially happens. The Sleepy Triple Bubble may just be the difference here, as Darjean is going to try and juke and jive and get hit by everything, but still survive.
He got hit by absolutely everything possible, still just walked away because he had a Ghost on the floor. Spell Thief's Bubble found him a safe haven. Herald summoned in mid lane is going to be taken quite low by Sully, will ultimately drop. It's not going to be a tower by any means, and compliments of that Herald's health bar. Trundle passive will get Sully back to full HP regardless of the damage that was dealt.
But a nice neutralizer in the mid lane, right, to get those plates down and make sure that Fido is back in the mix of things. That beacon of hope as it has been really for Kanga time and time again. Tien also going to utilize a nice little demolish proc top side to get even more gold to make sure that they're ahead by 1,500 at this 11-minute mark.
Pushing mid lane now, Sully just trying his best to annoy Kanga into submission with all of these pillars that he's placing down. Drake feels like it is just Mammoth to take. In terms of contest, it's so hard for Kanga to get into the area. Jake face checking, no sweeper, walks over 2 wards that spot him. And if that's time spent to clear wards, to be able to set up vision, the Drake's already gone by the time he even considers that one. Things going so very right for Mammoth right now. Still sitting at about 2,000 gold difference, though. It's not really stretching or ballooning by any means yet.
Oh, it could do in a second, right? The fact is we're looking towards bot lane now. There is the pinch on towards Voice. He's only got a Ghost available. That is not going to be enough. Killer Instinct to give him a little bit of time, but gets run down by the Chakrams, gets taken away by Yerson and his Ignite, but Chen does get in on it. And he gets the kill of his own. The 2v2 is just winning But with the assistance of their friend in the jungle.
Mayfun has ult but does not have flash, so closing that distance onto a red-white weapon is going to be quite difficult here. Darjean dodging out on that Q makes pretty much the confirmation that they get that win, they get out with their lives confirmed. Kraken Slayer done and ready as well for Darjean, so fight timing was exceptional here by Mammoth. The dive decision was right. The reinforcements from Kanga simply were not there in time either. And we just continue on the same path as before, really waiting for a moment to see if Kanga can find a positive play, and they're looking mid again.
They're going to try it again on towards Darjean. He hits the Sleepy Trouble Bubble onto the incoming support, and now once again looks to run away. This time doesn't have the luxury of a summoner to give him all those escape plans. That flash, but that's up in about 10 seconds. 10 seconds, a little bit too late.
Yeah, looks like he used the Ignite for some movement speed. Dodged the Braum Q, but the amount of time spent to dodge that Braum Q was just enough that Kanga were able to get there. Mayfun going to look to staunch off the Raptor camp. Does have 3 people nearby, but still he's not someone to give away things lightly.
No, meanwhile, topside Shinky caught underneath the tower and absolutely shredded there by Tien. You can see head in his hands, can't quite believe it. And back to mid lane, Kanga realized, well,
Bot's dead.
bot is just losing, top is losing, mid lane, we're all in.
Everywhere you look, the wheels are falling off for Kanga. They're trying to put efforts towards mid. This is their standardized playbook. Let Fido get fed. Use Fido as a way to win the game, but he's on a scaling champion right now. That one item of a crown into a Trundle pillar, into a Zoe, you know, it's not something that's easily kept. We look at this fight in top lane, it feels like maybe Shinky has just learned again the hard way that K'Sante keeps you under turret if you're ever near the turret. One of those solo kills that almost feels like a top lane is taxed at this point, more than anything else.
There's season 13 in a nutshell there. Been punished by the latest and greatest. And now you are really looking to try and find impact elsewhere. Speaking of though, it is Mammoth that looks to try and pull the trigger once again and get hungry and get invading. Deploying onto the map as Free, looking to try and figure out where Mayfun could be.
Shinky walking through the most dangerous path possible with no idea.
Shinky is trying to make that passage a little bit safer for his team, acting as a human ward, if you will. But I mean, the bot lane of Mammoth Fish just said, okay, we'll just take another turret for free.
Does anyone want to throw Voice a bone? You know, my guy's stuck in this 1v2 situation. He's been struggling in his 1v1 regardless. This is your wave clear. He's got the static shift on. But you can't clear waves if your team's not there to help you clear them.
Yeah, you can see there from the average level as well, only just above Sorley in the jungle. It's such a rough spot to be. Denied so much golden experience here. And now to contest over the enemy blue buff. But the lane deployments are perfect right now for Mammoth.
Mid push is exactly where they're supposed to be. They have no reason to be bottom. Jake gets hit by a bubble. He's in a lot of trouble.
Would they go any further? He's been locked in. What a beautiful pillar that was from Sorley. Yosan again picks up the kill. Ignite on CD, and it just continues to take them down in the blaze.
2 people from Kanga now going to head towards mid lane. Shinky just hovering Fido, not actually contributing right now.
Yeah, I'm going to get a little bit aggressive right now. Jumps in there with the ultimate, looking to try and bring him back as much as they can. Emperor's Divide, I don't know if there's going to be enough, but they do manage to find at least 1 kill. Tien will fall on down. Voice, I mean, he's been thrown a bone of something at least. First kill in this game to try and equal the power that Cheon has.
Contest. Oh, he gets it.
Well, onto the Herald. Yeah, and remember, going to pick that one up for free. As easy as you like. Actually, rather Kanga actually going to steal it away.
Mayfun's able to snipe away the Herald. That was a fight that I don't think Kanga wanted to take, but Mammoth were also a little bit apprehensive for it. And so he's able to just get in, get smite range, and they're also going to be able to break this turret. So in terms of this game's flow, a lot of money and a lot of space has been given to Kanga. The fact they're able to break that turret is crucial for the game. They're getting money and it's into the right hands as well, as long as Fido is careful here.
Yep, hot and ready to go as he jumps away with that Shurima Shuffle, and he realizes that the rest of his team is fighting because Tien is looking to get a little bit angsty here in the enemy side of their jungle. For good reason too. Dragon number 3 is up and available. They've managed to pick up 2 already, and they're looking to put the pressure on to make sure this is a very early stall point.
Kanga will have everybody here. Fido with the teleport available is going to come in on a flank as well. The fight's on.
They are looking for that flank, but it's a 2-man charm. 2 members locked in place. Both Jake and Shinky in so much trouble. Fido on the flank, waiting for his moment to strike, waiting for the moment to pounce. Story's already flashed away. Tien's already taken out Shinky. In goes the scoop, but it doesn't connect. Darjean is living just a little bit too long. Oh, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble will make it out 1-for-1 from the afterlife. And now Kanga are still forced to run away. The pillar, the initiation, the collapse, and this the sheer damage. Tien takes him across the wall, but Chaeyoung dies. I don't believe it. Somehow Voice, so deprived of any kind of resource or gold, is able to get kills and now has a bounty.
And a massive fight from Kanga. Huge flank from Fido. And just exceptional little piece of play from them. Will secure themselves a Drake. Will slow down Mammoth's push. And the most unexpected thing just suddenly erupts on Summoner's Rift. There's now a 3-in-1 Kaiser that's got a bounty close to that second item being done with the Nash's Tooth. Fido's 2-in-1. Yeah, he had a pretty hard time locking down Darjean, but still ends up getting the trade in the 1-for-1. And quietly achieving was the rest of the team. Braum holding everything together really nicely. And he's starting to see the difficulties, let's say, of this Trundle pick. Fight again. Initial part, perfect for the side of Mammoth, but Jake lives. So it's no longer good, right? The picks there, the damage wasn't there to follow through. Shinky goes down, but it always felt like that was inevitable. And Darjean does break the ankles of Fido here with a really good bubble and also a really good ultimate to dodge, so they trade. And this ends up just being this situation where Chaeyoung's low, has a red weapon, you'd think it's going to be perfectly fine, but gets knocked up by the Drake, gets completely annihilated by Mayfun, and Voice, who got ulted out by Cassante, just uses a blast cone that was there for him to get back into the fight, and it's Tien that was split from the team. So in terms of execution, a little bit messy here from Mammoth.
A little bit messy and a little bit of an opportunity, more than anything now for Kanga, with back-to-back objectives going their way, with the Herald still in pocket, ready to use to close that gold lead even further. It was starting to really escape them down what felt like 5,000 gold, and we're getting close to now 2K. By the time the Herald gets to push off with successful members in the area, that's down to 1, and suddenly we're back to a very even game as we crest over to 20 minutes.
For to see us down, but a bounty on the head of Voice does put him in a very strong position right now if you compare the items and the differences between them. He's caught up with that 80 carry that was light years ahead. Shinky, though, I will say the 0-3 Renekton is certainly staying near the 0-3 mark as he does get chased down.
Well, he's been subjugated and he's dodged at the grand entrance, turns around to Dominus, tries to swing the axe and try and get some HP back, but with 4 members strong, it's a bit too much of an ask. Glacial Fissure also gets sidestepped by the opposite top laner as Tien tries to prevent the same fate of the Renekton. It won't be the case here as Kanga are going to excel in the mid lane. Now it's a big battle of who can trade better.
Yeah, they're also pushing in bot lane at the same time though. So Kanga, they win the fight with Voice next to the tower and a wave crashing. Mammoth, they'll get the pick, but they had to actually continue to push that wave through. And so in terms of trades, this is just good for Kanga. They lose their 0-3 top laner, who cares? Right, 0-4, what difference does that make to the state of this game? 2 towers and a kill onto your Kai'Sa, worth any day.
100%. Voice is slowly starting to become a bit of a problem. And one to certainly keep your eyes on if left to his own devices is going to be a massive factor in another upcoming team fight here. Baroness spawned. And Dragon, not to look forward to for another couple of minutes, but the amount of map pressure that was just felt, I mean, 3 turrets to 4 now, these side lanes are wide open.
And Darjean's starting to suffer a little bit on this Zoe pick now, you know, falling a little bit behind in this farm here and there. He's now in this situation where he needs to be more in a side lane, but has the Ignite, not the Teleport, right? Hasn't got as many tools to keep himself up in the CS if there's objectives that he has to group for, because Chaeyoung is going to be the one who's just hoovering up all of these waves.
Just look at the gold. It really is Chaeyoung and a bit of a Grand Canyon below him. Nobody from his team even close right now. A bunch of Kanga members actually flourishing as a result of all this chaos that has happened on this map so far. If Chaeyoung dies, I think Kanga are stronger.
A really nice anti-famous chains purchase though from Sule, I will say, you know, reducing the damage of the one threat that he is afraid of. And that is onto Voice. Doesn't increase crowd control duration, has really no meaning for the Trundle, but it does mean this duelist build lets him just run at Voice and say, that's my target, blinders are on, chase him down. Mammoth looking for this mid lane turret. Kanga took the mid lane out of turret, and look at how much space that afforded them. Mammoth can't do it yet.
Unable to land that killer punch to get it done in one wave. And They've got to look to try and continue to answer these sideways because you know wherever a wave is there to be found, Fido's there.
But 30 seconds till the Drake spawns, and if you manage to keep Darjean there, then suddenly it's a free Drake for Kanga, right? So look at the way that Mammoth now have to adapt to this map state. Tian has to go back top lane, ideally, so they can bring the Zoe down. But if they push Tian top lane, they don't have a frontline tank. So it gets really dangerous for Mammoth here, it feels like. It's only Drake number 3 for them. But the longer you take deliberating on the best possible move for yourself, the longer Voice gets to just use those Kai'Sa W's. Just seek the top of your head and
Seemingly
whittle you down.
a bit of a dance now as to who wants to actually use their TP. Because they're all up and available from either side.
No one bottom though, it is looking like a 5v5.
Everybody is grouped up. Now just squaring off to see who can get the better engage right now. The lights go dark. I can't see anything. Numbers are on my screen. I'm still talking.
Look, there's a fight happening somewhere. Oh, we're back.
And we're back.
We're back. They turned the lights on.
A bit of blind casting right now. Mayfun, then he gets one shot, sniped from the heavens. Out goes the Moonlight Vigil with the blue and the red weapons. Doesn't really do as much damage as you would have anticipated. And we may just disengage away to clearing out Vision on Baron.
Sully gonna hit this one as well. Darjean gonna do this, confirmed by Voice. Teleport comes through. Mammoth, Tian teleports to the Baron pit. They are committed to this fight. Yersan's the only one on a flank, and that's gone. If Kanga just stopped the Baron, it's a win. But can they stop it?
You're looking at Fido. How impactful could he be right now? Yersan's jumped in, missed his moment. The Baron has been picked up there by Sully. The fight continues. Yersan's been run down. Voice finds his first kill in this fight. Darjean has done some damage and taken one with him. But now it's all about disengaging away. And I can't believe they just hard committed and left it to a flip.
They actually managed to not only get the Baron, but get out with only one casualty as well. Yersan, while the ultimate wasn't perfect from him, he created so much space, he zoned all of Kanga out almost completely with that one. Shinky tried to get in there and find this amazing flank with the blast cone, but again, he's a 0-4 now, 0-5 Renekton, so he's just so fragile. Having a look at the very early skirmishes here as well and see what happens. All-out mode used by Tian onto a Braum who simply flashes away. And that is really at the fizzle point, but a bubble is all it takes to win, right? A bubble, suddenly the paddle pop.
It's good. I like it.
The rainbow paddle pop connects.
It's a tasty treat.
Certainly the word I was looking for. As the Baron will be kicked off. And this is really the key point here is we are going to look at a push in the bottom left of your screen. Shinky goes for a flank, and Yersan on the flank himself tries to just play defense. And really it just ends up being this trade of carry members. But the Baron goes the way of Mammoth, and that's the real win.
That certainly is. And to only lose your support would be a massive dub, right? The powers in all those right places. And finally that mid-tier 1 that had been eluded him for such a long time does fall on down. Once again, out goes the Moonlight Vigil, I think just out of range for the second time in a row. But it zones them back. And 2 towers crumble.
Geez, that was a Teemo away from 5 people being hit by the Infernum weapon there. But they will back away. And what could have been doesn't matter with this one. They're going to actually get the tower in mid. They will go for those resets, spend some money. Control wards in hand. And in terms of locations to set up on the map, this is that really awkward downtime, Skimmy.
It's beautifully synchronized though, isn't it? When you hit the tab on the scoreboard and see every single member on Mammoth have a complete control ward to their name. Ready to find a place to go.
Who's rallied the boys, mate.
I guarantee he said, look, Rusty's hyping up our stats, we pick up wards, let's get some more.
Turn insane warding. Yersan insane warding stats, by the way. I was doing the mental math earlier. He places a control ward every 75 seconds on average in a game. If you think about it, you recall and you walk back to lane, that's 30 seconds. He places a control every 75? Where's he find him?
That's why supports can never get past 1.5 items.
Yeah, genuinely spending so much money on them. Vision score speaks for itself, right? You don't often look at vision score, it's just a number on your screen, but it speaks volumes.
Certainly has been a big proponent of what's allowed them to find a lot of these successful flanks and fights across the split so far. And with Baron only now just expiring, the gold lead is still fairly close, only 3k really separating these two teams. Kanga do still have a shot. They've got to make sure they don't get picked up out here in the side lanes because Shinky has been isolated. A deep TP flank, but Shinky's already dead. Burnt Flash at the same time. TP
Fido.
instantly, Fido's gone! Scoops back 2. Can he get much more than that? Conquerors procs, but he's just dead. That is Cheyan finding back-to-back kills to start off this bot lane fight. And look at that Moonlight Vigil from afar. This time it connects, and this time it does work.
Jeez, it was teetering on a knife's edge though, right? The Graves ultimate, the collateral damage could have been multiple casualties. But the fact that Mammoth were able to survive with everybody still alive, the fact that Tien's the lowest who just gets to go back to base, teleport in if absolutely necessary, but even that's an option. You know, it's not a requirement. Mammoth certainly sitting comfortable right now after that last little skirmish. I was going to say, that's a huge flank angle from Fido, but the fact that he flashed away and then chose to go in, you know, these little details just add up. See where this starts off? Tien just quite simply pulls Shinky back towards his squad. Chen's going to find him. His teleport comes through, but Shinky's already dead. Immediately has to flash because it's a full combo. Really nice sweep. But the damage was done as the fact that his top laner was dead and the teleport was about a half-second late. Unfortunately for him, you know, it's not the kind of thing you can plan for. And that collateral damage, I mean, if that hits you, son, right, it's at least one. But not to be this time around.
There's a nice little bubble on the back end as well. Actually denies Jake from perfectly overlapping that Emperor's Divide with an ultimate of his own too. Could have been the difference to give Kanga a little bit more time to try and step up and land those ultimates with certainty, but not to be. And with the base completely evaporated now, Kanga are locked inside those foundations, and they're going to try and find some safe passage here in the jungle. It just doesn't exist. The pillar is just a little bit too strong. They've been body blocked, make it twice now as they're put to sleep, and there's no blast cone back inside this base. Tien is there. The paddle star does not connect, but Yosun's overextended his reach. And at least get one back for their trouble.
Not a tank.
But the Moonlight Vigil is there.
Don't crit.
And does the Calibrum get it? It certainly does. That's a double for Cheon. He's now 7-1.
Shinky simply walks up and dies. There's nothing else that this Renekton can provide in the game right now. They are struggling just to hold on. But it's one of those fights that takes place so far outside of the base that Kanga is a little bit too far up creek. They get caught out of position, and it was beautiful from Yosun to find that angle. That is the real thing that you look towards here and celebrate. You just watch this Rakan. When he finds his angle, the pillar locks them down.
Perfect.
The bubble finds the Braum. They're in this really awkward position, moving so slowly, and just bang, finds them all. And that's the confirmation that they needed, right? That's voice going down. Now they don't have the carry potential to win the rest of this fight. Fido will hit Tien this whole time, but Tien's just soaking for the squad. Flashes over, and that's it, right? And then Shinky, poor Shinky, he's actually just dying to the white weapon that was placed in front of him. 3 auto attacks from that, and then locks him down with the snipe.
Just too strong once again, and for that small glimmer of time, you're thinking maybe Voice is the way back in to contest the power of this Aphelios, and that was quickly dismissed. 7,000 gold soon to be ahead are Mammoth right now, staring down the barrel of a second Baron to their name.
Deathcap done, Winzu's done. If there's 2 big things to look forward to right now for Kanga, it is that your carries have completed their 3rd items, right? Stopwatches are there for both of them as well, so while you are really far behind, you've got a fighting chance. That's a good look, but it's gone and a teleport comes in.
It's missed the mark, and now this is Mammoth's chance to try and answer back with Retribution. Number 8 now for Cheon. Darjean gets in on the spoils of war and just has fun with it. I think Kanga feeling the pressure. They are strong. Exactly your point there, Rusty, but just bit the bullet a little bit too early.
Strong, still an item behind, but definitely strong enough to consider those fights. But like you're saying, yeah, just forced a little bit too much. They saw an angle. The angle wasn't truly there. They didn't slow down, you know, take a slower, smarter decision. They felt pressured. They felt crunched. They go for this play. Now they lose the Baron buff. Now they're 9,000 gold behind. Now inhibitors are gone, if not the entire game, if not the Nexus.
Look at the Voice. He's literally running all the way from enemy mid inhibitor right down mid back to base. He couldn't commit because he realized they might just end the game right here and now, and that's certainly what they're looking to do. They are poised and ready to make sure this one finishes at 32 minutes on the dot. As Cheon once again hits them with the ultimate. Maybe that turret, and with the respawns coming through, it's just a little bit too much.
Not going to be end just yet. It is going to be the reset here from the side of Mammoth. Definitely erring to the side of caution.
Sure.
I feel like
it was a world.
there's definitely a world that they go to force that, but that's, you know, that's the Mammoth we saw last week, Skimmy. That's the Mammoth before Drag Crew, Current Drag Crew squad, tutorial wins only.
Nothing left to chance here. Every win matters, and obviously with Kanga, as you say, needing every single point available to them.
Big flank.
Can't afford to let them have that one right now. In we go once again. Rakan start things up. Jake in trouble. Ultimate will not find success. Chen on the board once again, getting closer and closer to those double digits. The Voice is going to come out of stasis, flash away and hit a Void Missile and say, my job is done. I cannot do much more than this. Everybody is dead around me. I'm living in a graveyard. And everybody from Mammoth just stands strong and delivers.
I think that was a single auto attack and the flamethrower wipe from Cheon, and suddenly Voice went from 100 to 0. Scrapes by with 1 health to his name. Now Mammoth just waiting for mid lane. Voice does clear top. Blue Trinket going to be used. Darjean not going to find him. Finds a Gromp because he just wanted to confirm the Gromp was there. And they'll push down mid lane, presumably looking for the finish this time.
Looking to be the case this time. 29 kills in 33 minutes. And it is that tutorial style end. It is that way to close it out with certainty. The way to make sure that Mammoth are going to get the win that they so sorely need. And for Kanga, make life just a little bit more difficult.
To the very end, Kanga will fight as well, but they could not keep up with Mammoth. They could not go toe-to-toe with this Mammoth squad who, we said this a few times during the game as well, but they just looked better, right? Like their individual laners just found their CS advantages. Their top lane was just winning, getting kills. Their bot lane was just winning, getting turret plates and pushing. Mid was hard pressured. Darjean had a really rough go of it with all the Kanga members coming towards his lane, but when all said and done, Mammoth found themselves, you know, roughly 2k up from just existing and trying to be better players, and that's a lot easier to snowball with.
It certainly is. What a game, boys. What did you make of that one, Quick Sam?
Far out. Look, seeing Zoe get locked in at the start got me super excited, and then no static Shiv coming out, even after you hyped it up so much, Skimmy. I was like kicking my feet. I was so excited.
I'm on the phone to Darjean after this, mate. Say, you're a liar. Lock it in, mate.
And then, the further we got into the comp, the more we realized that we're missing Engage.
Yeah, and as we take a look here, to me, this was the biggest issue of the game, was the bot lane, right? Okay, sure, we're going to rotate some members up towards a Herald to try to contest some topside plays. Shinky was just getting ran through by TN, so I don't think that was the right play in the first place. But what happened was Voice got sacrificed so much to the point where he's losing 3 turret plates on a push. He's losing waves. He's down a ridiculous amount of CS. The play on your screen now, Kanga were able to turn it around, but to your point, Quicksand, the whole thing for me was a lack of execution, and so that really means that whichever team is ahead, it's really easy for them to stay ahead, and particularly with a champion like a Zoe who's able to provide so much poke damage, even if no one's dying, as long as you're staying, you know, relatively similar, and then Zoe can land, you know, 1 Sleepy Trouble Bubble into a paddle pop, it's going to do a lot of damage.
Thank you. You know, when I said paddle pop, I genuinely forgot what it was called, and until you said it that time, it finally came back to me. Like
the star?
Yeah, the paddle star. I still thought it was paddle pop until the last second.
But this to me is the biggest turning point of this game here, right? Was sure, it's a 5v5, right? No one's actually gone down, but Mayfun losing so much health off the back of the Zoe means that Mammoth are able to get this Baron and get away, and then, you know, you're pushing as a team with Baron into a comp that has basically no engage besides, you know, maybe an Azir getting a flank, and that means that Cheon especially feels very free in these fights to just free hit, and we already see how much damage he does here. Like, look at that.
It really strikes to me clearly as well that Yosan really shows his talent, especially around that Baron fight. His ability to take away Voice, to zone away the rest of the team, is really what paid off for them in the end.
I think Yosan's extremely good at finding angles. He is very good at finding those engaged flank angles. Alistar banned from him for a reason, you know. The fact that we got Darjeon's signature pick, the fact that Tian gets the creative liberties and freedoms of a Cassante while also being a tank. He's already proven to be one of the most creative top laners that we have that will win jungle while also winning his top lane. So getting him Cassante is the dream situation. I think you just go down the list. Trundle's the only champion you look at and you're like, I guess it's really just kind of good in this game, you know?
And to your point about the Cassante versus Renekton matchup, that to me was a huge factor in favor of Mammoth, right? We saw already on basically wave 2, Shinky was scared to push in the wave as Renekton versus Cassante. When that's happening, you know it's not going to be a good experience, and I think that led to a lot of their issues in this game, right? Because when you're playing this team, we saw that they had a game plan to contest these early Heralds, but then suddenly, you know, you look top lane and Shinky's losing a 1v1 to 10 under his turret. Fido's not in lane to be able to contest the Herald there, so you're losing early game with a comp that gets outscaled. You need to have something in the back of the tank.
And at the very least, Kanga felt like they had Mayfun. if anything, Mayfun kind of put on the best performance for Kanga, and we saw that Tien kind of has that habit of going in and blowing up junglers' game plans. Like you saw against Vertex, where he went into Forever's jungle, attacked the blue buff, and Forever felt like he was completely lost for the rest of the game. But at least Mayfun felt like he was somewhat decent that game with Kanga.
Yeah, Mayfun managed to farm pretty well. The thing that stands out for me, though, is the choice of the Graves Braum as their 4-5. Because you can't help but feel like the way that it was played out, sacrificing voice, you know, allowing them to just win their lanes. What if that Graves was a champion that could play for your bot lane? Because Kai'Sa is still a good damage carry. And I think maybe in their minds, they're like, Kai'Sa goes Nash's second with our build, we need physical damage, and like had to just like slam this 4th pick Graves. But I personally would have liked to see something, have seen something a little bit more standard, like a Wukong maybe even, you know, for the jungle role.
Definitely provides a lot of engage that would have been useful in a clip that we're going to take a look at right now. This is the Baron standoff, and it's a very boring clip in the sense that there aren't really any kills here, but what you can see is that off your screen, where is Mayfun? He's at the Raptor camp, attempting to heal with a bit of fleet footwork, a bit of jungle balance, because he's been hit by a paddle star and taken down to very low HP. But as we look again here, look at how Mammoth are able to sort of avoid any possible confrontation and really escape this Baron. Kanga have 5 members here, but then no one's able to get into the pit. Like you said, Yosan doing a great job of zoning the carries, keeping them all away. Sure, he buys a lot of time on the side of it. He goes down eventually, but you're absolutely fine with that. A 4-for-4, a 1-for-1, sorry, trade with a Baron. You will take that, and that really blew up in the game for Mammoth.
And to close things out, again, we've got one more game to go. I'd like to remind everybody as well, we mentioned that Kanga has a really hard playoffs run ahead of them. They're up against 2 of the best teams in the league after this. So going even or losing this game is a detriment to them. And guess what? They've just, at their best, gone even. So Kanga, at the very least, would absolutely love to take this draw to not abolish their chances of making it to playoffs.
It's tough. It really is tough. I think, once again, yeah, this felt too much like a one-man army, a show in case of, you know, Azir might pop off. He was popping off, but at times was trying to be, you know, would much prefer to be the front-to-back play style of the Azir. Was forced to try and be, you know, the alley-oop scoot back and try and, you know, dunk a 3-pointer on them. NBA reference, there you go, mate.
Oh, dunk a
See,
3-pointer.
I talk about basketball, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a step in the right direction.
Look, we're getting there, step by step, mate. Don't you worry. But either way, you know, when Kobe Bryant came out onto the field and then Michael Jordan slammed it down, and I just thought, yeah, Kanga have no chance.
Dunking 3-pointers really does just speaks truth.
Wait, can you do that? Can you dunk a 3-pointer?
No, it's just not possible.
But like, if I was physically capable enough.
I actually don't know the legality of the rules there.
Well, like if you were to jump outside the 3-point line,
In like
and dunk?
Space Jam type thing, if you could jump.
Sure.
I mean, technically that's where the ball last touches the ground, so maybe.
But like, doesn't that mean that if you were
Wait, you last touch
like,
the ground?
you'd running jump in and land like at the
No, you just
the
hold
hoop.
onto the net.
You
hold
hold
onto the hoop.
You released it
what
while
do they
in
do
the
then?
air while jumping. That doesn't feel right.
Max?
I'll get back to you on this one, guys.
Okay.
I will check the rules. I'm sure that's what we're all holding on to here at the LCO.
Mm-hmm.
Is the legalities of this
please,
3-point
No
dunk.
longer league.
No.
Find out for us.
Yes,
and maybe
I
we can
will.
come back to it. For
Yes.
now, we've got some updates we're waiting on for a couple of other people. The bingo from the fans. So far, 3 champions of our massive roster being knocked off the list. Aphelios, Cassante, Kai'Sa. So again, if you've just managed to tick some of these off your list or you're still struggling, we'd love to see some updates. If you want to post it on Twitter, hashtag LCO. A lot more champions to go at this bingo, and some of them I'm surprised not to see yet. Again, LeBlanc being banned out. Milio, I think Milio was banned out that game as well.
No.
Not from memory, no.
No,
it
Milio
wasn't.
being banned out,
No.
but doesn't have priority anymore. It feels like last in 13.12, Milio. No Milio.
Yeah, I think it's definitely in Jake's wheelhouse. I think if there's a particular draft for them to utilize it, they will. I think in that game, they just felt like Braum was the stronger pick overall. There's potential. There's definitely potential.
I mean, both support picks were 5 here, right? Like, that's very rare to see in a draft. So both supports, probably Jake saying, you know, I don't want to give Yosan too much weight in the draft if I show my pick too early. And then obviously Yosan saying, if I get counter pick, I'm just going to run this game.
And I think that's what I want to move on with is Braum. I didn't realize. I'm watching. You realize Braum works against Zoe really well. Can dash, can block the bubbles. So Kanga had their mind in the right place with the draft. They lost. What do they need to do moving forward?
So again, for me, the first thing that I was looking at was the Wukong pick. I also think that teams can probably reassess the Renekton into Cassante a lot, especially if you're Chinky, you're learning the role, and you're giving Cassante just to play Renekton into it. Maybe this is in a vacuum and even lane, but this isn't a vacuum. This is Shinky, who's a support main that is learning top lane against, like you said before, and I do agree with you, the best performing top laner right now, especially in laning phase. So maybe just try and like make things a bit easier for yourself, make execution easier for yourself, and that way the game will be a lot easier to play out, especially if you fall down 2,000 gold, because it's not like Mammoth played perfect League of Legends. Like, there was a significant point of time that Kanga brought it back from like 6k to 2k, right? Just flow just went their way. They broke turrets, they got skirmishes that were going right for them. Have a comp that enables that to snowball, and suddenly it's a different game.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that whole ease of execution angle. I think when you have a Renekton, Graves, Braum, you're saying, all right, we're going to get Prio early, we're going to look for invades. When you're a team, towards the bottom of the standings, you're obviously trying to gel. That's not something you can reliably do. I would much rather them go towards something more CC heavy, enable this Kai'Sa, enable her to dive into the back line and really play explosive that way. So yeah, perhaps retooling, perhaps looking at picking that jungle in the first phase, so there's not, they're like, I'm pretty sure every ban in the second phase, besides there were 3 bans that were all targeted towards jungle in the second phase, so perhaps picking that up a bit earlier in the draft.
Okay, well, there's only one way to find out what happens in the next draft, and that is to go to it, but of course, not to jump the gun, guys. We got to take a quick break just before we get there. One more game to go for Kanga and Mammoth. See you guys on the other side.
Fido with the teleport available is going to come in on a flank as well. The fight's on.
Now looking for that flank, but it's a two-man charm. 2 members locked in place, both Jake and Shinky in so much trouble. Fido on the flank, waiting for his moment to strike, waiting for the moment to pounce. Thought he's already flashed away. Tien's already taken out Shinky. In goes the scoop, but it doesn't connect. Darjean is living just a little bit too long. Oh, the sleepy trouble bubble will.
Came out on smoke, yeah, out the gate on the go. I take notice, take notes. I get all the first place votes. Yep, came through, they won't let us in. Didn't like their own medicine. Told me to be ready for anything.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kingsley's not here, but ends up Pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back, everybody. An incredible game number 1 with Mammoth absolutely dominating the scoreline. Kanga trying to claw their way back in, but a lack of engage hurt them in the end. Now, we do have some from the fans from our bingo to be able to clear some things up again. Don't forget, if you haven't done it yet, we do have it up on the Twitter, hashtag LCO. Please chuck in your LCO bingo, see what champions you think might be locked in today. We've had 3 knocked off so far. And just to confirm as well, in case anyone at home is feeling a little bit anxious about how their predictions are going, you said, Rusty, at the end of the day, you had the most, but you only had 4.
Yeah, I think after the 4 games, we only had 4, yeah. That's hard to do. It's hard to get 5.
We had a snake draft in our defense. We
Yeah,
didn't
true,
get to pick
true,
like
true,
you did. So
true.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
we didn't get
One
just
by
a
one
free
by
reign
one.
pick, but okay.
All right, already getting Cassante taken off. Lucian, Nah, Sion, and Viego. Viego, I feel like I've been seeing a lot more as a jungler who kind of feels like he's been playing really well as a carry. Are we gonna? Do you think we're seeing more of him going to be locked in?
Yeah, I think we will definitely see him today. I think in our region as well, where it's so explosive and you just know random fights are going to occur. It's a champion that can find a lot of value. I think we've got a lot of players who will play it as well. I'm looking at someone like Sully to bring that out. So yeah, definitely.
I'd like to see Sign next game, personally, from the side of Kanga. I
R5?
think that would be, yeah, absolutely R5. When
Yeah,
it's
well, the time
R5,
to
it's a
pick it.
carry.
It is a carry.
And 2 taken off the list here already. Aphelios and Kaiser both being knocked off the board. Lucian, the only ADC left on the list. And I think Lucian, with the 13.12 patch, we've just seen that big change where he can work with supports now that engage. They hit the hook, and it also activates his passive, which I haven't been seeing him as much as I thought I would since the change. Is it that serious?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I was always a massive fan of Lucian Brom, personally, so if they're going to try and run it back, then voice could play the Lucian, for example, but I just think that players are more opting towards the static shiv abusers or just like the hybrids.
And to me, the thing with Lucian and Enchanters that made him so strong in previous patches was his ability to one-shot you from a ridiculous range, right? The fact that he works with melees is great, but you're not going to be able to land that engage as reliably, right, from that same long distance. So he's a mid-sniper on the mid-wave. So to me, a little bit of room. Sure, he's maybe as strong in the 2v2s, but in the mid-game, not as strong with those support pairings.
And of course, our favorite time of the day, Max.
It is.
Please roll up your sleeves. It is our Dare fan vote. Where is it? Where is it?
Dare this year.
I love Dare so much, man. It's just the best. It's seriously, he's the greatest.
So make sure you chuck down your votes. Also, is this why you go to the gym?
Yeah, this is the sole reason.
Just
As soon as I got the call saying you're going to be on LCO and we're going to need you to do some ridiculous posing routine, I went to the gym.
I missed that call.
Flexing is in his contract. We should have mentioned that.
But Skimmy, you and I never get to be on the same couch. That's the worst part.
No, well, look, you know what? I have a lot of homies sitting on this couch, and, you know, I get a different best friend every day. But, you know what? We've got to keep our distance, unfortunately. It's very sad.
One day.
But we can lock eyes, and we can just make it awkward.
It's quite romantic,
We
isn't it?
could just get some music on. Oh,
Where you
Here we
looked
go
away.
again, Zach.
and just keep staring.
I realized that being in your position after doing interviews it's a weird spot when Skimmy's causing uncomfortable eye contact and you're
I'm third
directly
wheeling
in the
here.
middle. Yeah.
Don't worry, Max. I'll get to you later on, mate.
Okay. I will hold you to that.
Yeah.
All right, Max, well, we can head into our room and make more eye contact.
Cut the clip! Let's go! Game 2, 1-0 to Mammoth. Take it away, Rusty.
Jam select. No eye contact required because the players are staring at screens. Mammoth going to be on blue side for this game as well. It is going to be a Kaiser most likely locked in first here, you would expect. But Mammoth, I think, are the type of team that don't need to do that. Given that they just proved that they can handle it quite nicely. And Aphelios is still going to be up and available, but it's Cheon's turn. Cheon wants to play that Kaiser, so he's going to get it.
Of course. He's going to say, look, I can pop off in the Aphelios, and I'm going to really showcase why I brought Kaiser back to the front line and just how much my carry performance can be on this one. The point I mentioned with the Kanga draft, I'd love to see this sign. I'd love to see this ease of execution that we said in general.
You
where
know
it's
what's
like,
up? Rel.
Yeah, well,
Ease
there's
of
that-
execution.
That's very true. I was going to say, like, your Signs, your Maokais, your Rakans, the Rel fits in there as well. Just any of those abilities to say, find a target, kill a target, win a fight.
I will say, you know, if Shinky can play this Cassante, this adds a lot of layers to a composition immediately. I mean, this is Mammoth's draft. It's being built on the other side here, but Aphelios Cassante can create a lot of agency, can create flanks, can split carries off. You know, it's a super exciting ability to start a draft this way because it opens up your 4th, 5th pick to be much more flexible and to not have to be picked for a composition, right? You've got frontline, you've got engage, you've got scaling damage. All you need right now is magic damage, and Kanga have a comp regardless of the other two champions. Mammoth, the Rel was not banned. The Rel is going to be picked. Kanga are relentless with this Ivan ban more than anything else, and being on blue side for Mammoth, they afforded themselves the luxury of 3 target bans, including that Cassiopeia. As there goes Tien.
And of course Tien says, well, I've had my fun carrying on the Cassante. It's a hybrid of a tank and a carry, but nope, I am back to being an absolute menace on what, quite honestly, he almost used as a carry as well, right? The Poppy. Just ruin all the fun, disrupt all your ability to try and, you know, pounce upon us and let us be the initiators every single time.
I was definitely wondering where they would choose to go for Jake here. And it does seem like, yeah, they're going to lock the Nautilus. Engage champion, matches the Rel. I will say this. We saw this already. I want to see more Gragas support. I think Gragas support is the easiest answer to Rel. I still really believe that Rel is an insanely strong pick, but it's just not blind pickable. And that is going to be my view until the day I die or something changes. And I just think Gragas is great. Thresh is great, but probably not going to be meta. Alistar is great.
You know what I'd like to see, mate?
What would you like to see?
Taric.
Taric into Rel.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh.
She jumps in, you hit the dazzle, bang. Next.
You know, the issue with that is that she's already jumped in, and that's what the other champions counter. Excuse me. I just want to make
yeah, but then she Magnet Storms, and you say, let's get in the circle together. Here's my Cosmic Radiance. And now she's a disco.
And then you Jarvan, right? And so everyone's stuck in the disco.
That's true.
That's it.
And then we draft Rammus, and MacMate is somehow back on the show.
Genius.
Yep. Lots of different possibilities here. And what I'm looking at right now in the second half of these bans is that mid lane is the focus, at least for making sure that Darjean can't have fun. No more Zoe. You've just doubled your win rate on that champion overall. No more Ari if you want to be the facilitator and look to try and make life a little bit easier to carry with as well. But then the Azir ban. What else would they look to try and remove away? Because they've already removed like half the pocket picks. Even if they're considered like a Varus ban, it comes out.
Okay, these mid laners are just target
They're really egoing each other.
Yeah. I do wonder where we go from here, right? Mid lane champion. If you're Kanga, you can look at the champion pool and say it's been thinned down so much I kind of have to pick a mid laner here. Or, yeah, it could be Corky time.
Come on.
Or you 5th pick your mid laner if you're Kanga and say, go on, show me what you've got. Imagine if it was a Nautilus jungle and this is a Gragas support and I'm happy suddenly. Can you just imagine if that was true?
I'm thinking, imagining, visualizing.
Nautilus can jungle. Gragas can support. It would be nice. Oh yeah, we forgot about meta champions. Annie. the hub
We're
of a
so
Mammoth.
tunneled in on what obscure champions they can play. It's like, oh yeah, true. Annie's still up in the
I mean, this is the pocket pick matchup, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Darjean Fido. There we go. Annie just going to be locked in. Ari gone though, so champion pool thinned out a little bit still for Fido. That'd be exciting.
That would be exciting.
That'd be exciting
really
for
fun top
a
lane.
lot of reasons. Puts Poppy jungle.
It would, and it would say, get baited. You think Poppy can only be played by Tien? Watch this in the jungle now.
And now it's a Cassante Nautilus Gragas trying to deal with an Olaf.
Impossible.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. They don't have damage between them to deal with him. You can't all-out mode him away. He's just going to keep running forwards at your carry. Voice just going to see this Ragnarok man just sprinting him down.
And isn't it kind of hectic that you've almost got this luxury with a 5th pick on blue side?
Yep, that is indeed what we just picked. So there's a Gragas mid, right?
It would seem that way.
I know Fido could play Jarvan mid. You know, I don't want to rule out that possibility, but it's a Gragas mid.
Unless it's Cassante mid.
Unless it's Cassante mid.
Unless it is a Cassante. Who knows? Hey, it's all up in the air right now, Rustdog, and we've got to figure it out. We've got to decipher the code. What do these champion pools look like? What does it all mean?
What does it mean? We can look at the composition itself and say that Gragas, Jarvan, Nautilus, Cassante, close range brawlers. Definitely want to get active, want to get involved. One consideration here for the Jarvan in the jungle position, if that's where it's going. Of course, it doesn't seem like this is finalized at all for Kanga. I'm confused.
I've just been told it's locked.
So Fido's Jarvan. I can't trust Fido, can you? You just can't trust Fido. But that means Shinky's jungling. Or Shinky's mid, Fido's jungling, and Mayfan's top. Or listen,
They wouldn't.
Listen,
Surely not.
they said they had some stuff cooked up. They did say they were cooking in that interview.
In a do or die situation where literally every single point, every bit of crumb that you could find would count towards potentially making it over the hurdle into that 6th and final spot. And they would just suddenly roll swap? That would be crazy. That would really blow my mind. But they're cooking. And I'm not sure if it's going to be burnt or if it's going to be delicious. But either way, that is a Jarvan in the mid lane. A potential Cassante in the jungle.
Until we get onto the rift, Gibby. Until we get onto the rift. Let's not say where anything is just yet.
Well, let's do that. Let's load into the rift then and figure out the conclusion to this game number 2. It is Fido in the jungle. I do not believe it. They really are throwing a spanner into the works here. Shinky in top and Mayfarn playing Cassante mid.
Okay, so I was holding off on this point. I'm still slightly holding off on this point, just given that Yersan is looking to invade. Remount Rel is one of the strongest invade champions in the game with Glacial, because you chase them down.
Oh, he's in trouble. He's going to get flashed upon, but no, where do you go? There's no team to back you up. And you're just locked down, and you've given first blood to the worst possible person. Cheon's on the score sheet, and there's a beautiful level 1 play.
You're also a Cold-Start Aphelios with no summoner spells, so you are in a very dire situation. Kanga, however... Ah!
Mayfarn, what? Mayfarn, what are we doing?
Oh, man.
Why are we here but just to suffer?
Oh, it was a strategy there. They were thinking. They were
Are we
cooking,
playing ARAM with a splashing ego?
And they've cooked it. They've cooked it so bad. It's so bad. It's devastating.
No.
All right, I don't even want to say the point I was originally thinking because it's just bad for Kanga. You know Jarvan, right?
Yeah, he's a champion.
Jungle champion for Kanga. Has Flag Drag as his combo, right?
Yep.
So Poppy
says no
with one button.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvan was picked into it.
Mm-hmm.
The ult does work, but the Flag Drag does not. So if at any point Sully is there for the counter gank or just holds that ability, suddenly Jarvan cannot play League of Legends. But Kanga chose to 5th pick that one and put it on their mid laner, who is now playing jungle. So to say that I'm confused is an understatement.
Perplexed.
Yeah, certainly one of the other words that could be used.
But I think, Rusty, you willed it into existence. You know, as much as I memed about the Tarek and the Rel interaction, you said maybe a Jarvan. It came out. There's that 5th pick, and that is the crash down. Looking to lock in place Jake for the meantime. Drop him down. Already to 50%. This bot lane is not going to get any easier. Already for the points you mentioned with a summonless Aphelios. I mean, it's rough.
It certainly is very rough for Voice. Will stay that way, absolutely. That first blood being an extra cull there for Chai, obviously going to speak towards that. Fido does actually spot this one. Sully has smite but has no knowledge, so there should be a free steal. And there you go. Fido, he's out.
Thank you very much.
Sully's mad, but he has no flash.
He's running him down. And Darjean's on the hunt as well, saying, fight me in the mid lane. Oh, they completely whiffed it. He's gone.
Well, we are on an experienced... There is absolutely no way that Fido gets this without smite, right?
Wrap around. He's going to go for it.
What is happening? What is happening? What is happening?
Hey, they're putting on a show for us. That is what is happening right now, because bot lane Jake's in trouble. The hook away. One auto. He's going to burn to ignite. And your son's done it again. He just sniped so many kills with a summoner.
Yeah, he's very good at securing kills with the Ignite button. That consistent damage over time somehow, just a little bit more when Yersan uses that one. Sully now at the red buff as well. Jarvan did get pushed out while he stole the blue. Completely dissuaded from the rest of the map. We'll secure the Scuttle Crab. Mayfarn, a flashless Mayfarn, I might add, for the sake of adding it. I will escort him at least a little bit further, but he'll find that nothing's here. So Fido's first little soiree into the jungle will result in him realizing that it's a rough start when you invade. The repercussions can be quite serious.
Yeah, they certainly can be. Mayfarn's going to be very careful as well. A Hex flashed in. Poppy looking for the perfect angle. What a stun against the wall. Holds it for such a long time. Knocks him back with a steadfast presence. And then guarantees that Mayfarn has nowhere to go. Yersan in just to get an assist, which he does so successfully. And Darjean finds his first kill of the second game.
Gets an assist, dematerializes a cannon minion as well. And if nothing if not efficient, the Rel and the Poppy will make it happen for their mid laner. Darjean shoes on the other foot this time. You cannot permanently gank this mid lane. We will permanently do that ourselves. And the repercussions of level 1 just have that ripple effect through the rest of the map here as well. They get the 2v2 kills. Yersan gets the freedom to move. Sully has the freedom to invade because Tien was able to force priority in that top lane as well, something that we didn't talk about too much so far. And we just continue on this path. 5 minutes in, Skimmy. Look at the goal difference.
I mean, it's monumental this early on. I tell you what, if this was Scrim, this is when you'd be screaming to remake. Not going to be afforded that luxury here in a stage game right now. You have definitely thrown us a curveball here in that do or die situation for Kanga. And it's not going to settle down anytime soon. Voice in trouble once again. Chaeyoung also receiving a lot of pain and punishment just at a range of the flamethrower to confirm it as Jakey does body block the Void Missile. Both 80 carries, crucially low, but who can come to confirm?
Both junglers are here. Fido cannot go in if Sully exists, but they're still looking for the kills themselves. Yersan. If it's just a 2v2, Mammoth take that one. Sully just gets to play goalkeeper. Java never comes in to assist the team. But everyone just gets dissuaded, and it is just going to be waves cleared. They do know that's warded, so it was pinged out by Sully here, and they will confirm that one with the sweeper from Yersan. And now the ball is in Fido's court. What are you going to do? You have no vision. Is Sully still there? Checks with the flag. Yes. What now? Sully's really just here to make sure the wave gets crashed.
If nothing more, just waste Fido's time. Both junglers are back in the area. Instantly knocked up against the wall. Prevent the jungle invade. Make it a fair 2v2 as both will look to walk away. And continue to have their health bars battered down low.
And we're back. Round number 3 of doing circles at the bottom lane.
Try and try again.
Finally, reset time. No, it's not reset time. It's Hex Flash time.
We're still on. Gets baited out of place. Voice in trouble. Has no mana now. He's going to have to literally auto-attack him down to victory. Looks for a second. Jake in trouble. Got the kill. But they've given Chaeyoung a double. Unbelievable here. From a first blood into a double kill. Into a Kaiser with a bounty at only 7 minutes.
Yeah, 3-0-1 Kaiser gets a good reset off as well with the wave in a prime position for the Kaiser to get back there and continue to collect. Fido finally goes back to base. Sully says one more circle because Yersan is hex flashing over that wall. Would you believe it? That one extra time pays off fantastically for Mammoth. Commanding start to this game.
We're definitely getting flashbacks to what we saw sometimes happen in Split 1, right? Where junglers were just seemingly AFK in bot lane waiting for something to happen. Say, this will happen. I will force it. Tell you what, eventually it did work.
There we get a replay. Hex Flash comes in. Looks for Voice, but Jake with a really nice look does cancel it. And they do kind of resolve themselves to saying we go for these kills. Unfortunately, these supports today are getting all of them. They are getting all of them, with the exception of Chaeyoung, who's able to find 2 in that last little skirmish. Their fan vote very much reflecting the state of this game right now, I think suffice to say, Skimmy, 86%. Believing that the team that is very much winning is going to win.
I think it's pretty much identical to the stats and the odds from game 1 as well.
Surely they spotted Fido.
Any wavering from their prediction. Is he just going to be able to pick up this Herald for free? Does still have a substantial amount of HP left, so he's going to be forced to back away. Now Mammoth with 4 members strong. What did they started up?
Static Shift done for this Kaiser. 8 minutes into the game.
It's criminal.
Static Shift done for Chaeyoung. Both Summoner Spells going to be available as well. I feel like there is this world that Mammoth say we are not trading objectives. We're fighting for both objectives. They're going to have the Poppy to solo the Rift Herald though, so they're just going to continue to farm their waves as per normal. And for what it's worth, Kanga are keeping up in farm in this game. It's just the overall goal that is really swaying against them. They're 10 CS down, a lot of that money definitely in the hands of Chaeyoung over Voice. Farm in top's 1 wave, farm in mid is actually a wave up. They are doing the best they can, but it's Jinky's turn.
It certainly is, and you hear the sound from the Olaf and you know it means trouble. They just literally run down Shinky again. What was a 3k lead, I mean it's soon to become that much more, and it's not even 10 minutes in right now. This is an absolute statement from Mammoth coming into game 2, looking to put this one to rest.
Yeah, Mammoth laughing to the bank right now. Very commanding game, very comfortable position, everything going right for them. And for Mammoth, remember the standings implications of this game are 2-0. Crucial for them to stay as far up as possible to be in a top 4 position. I think right now, we look at the LCO and we say it's probably a 5-team,
Feels that way.
a top 5 stacked league right now, opposed to what we've seen in the past, which is a clear 2. It seems like we have 5 teams, or 2 favorites, 3 contenders. And so that top 4 position being really important means games like this, if they're must-wins or free wins, have to be free. So far, so good for Mammoth to ensure that.
Certainly do take whatever you can get right now. And I suppose it's always going to leave us begging, given the current state of things. What was the game plan behind this switch up here from Kanga? It's not been that standard level 1 opener. And it has certainly caused a lot of chaos that has quickly spiraled out of control. Made it very difficult for them to try and recover anything here.
You also can't help but wonder what could have been if Mayfun did not flash out of that bush.
Absolutely.
We're looking bottom.
We are certainly looking bottom, and Voice, well, he didn't get a chance to even exist right there. Underneath the turret, the aggro will not even juggle to the Mammoth members diving. And that's a really good flash there from Jake to deny the Tibbers, that I will say. But Yerson's forced to back away. He was the one that looked to try and pull the trigger to start things off first and foremost. Cataclysm is there. Will they decide to use it? Mayfun tries to take out Darjean. There is the kill confirmed. Fido acting as the mid laner to still get the job done. In goes Yasuo with the crash down onto 2. And we do trade 1-for-1. Hook again, connects as you need it. Che on the 1, looking to be taken on down, but he's not got any more threats in his wake. And he's now 5-0.
They simply cannot deal with Che on top lane. That's the ultimate used by TN. He's hunting for this, but it's going to be a turret there.
Oh, he just iced the turret.
Oh,
he couldn't
no,
go much
dead.
further. Hit the flash. Oh, the barrel.
Playing with fire.
He is definitely playing with fire. Dicey as you like it.
Shinky, no flash. There's going to be no lethal. It is just going to be a reset from both of them. But to the surprise of no one, TN is taking these fights.
Does it at least once every game.
Voice gets stunned up, gets CC comboed. Annie not nearby just yet, but the Glacial Field helps out.
Stun is primed and ready to go, and it gets traded out there with a very early red Moonlight Vigil to top him up to try and anticipate the burst. That was coming his way.
You know what I will say, Skimmy, is it is a surprise that it's not the first strike Annie into a melee mid lane matchup where you make free bank.
For sure.
Watch this trade in bottom once again. Voice just gets immediately engaged on, disappears. It's a magic trick from the side of Mammoth. Where did he go is the question that nobody knows the answer to. They continue this dive. Jake, fantastic flash. Mayfun finds a good angle here, however, once the stun. Never mind, we're back.
Forget about it, Rusty.
Mayfun.
Enough of the past and back into the present. Magnastorm, make it happen, looks to try and lock them down, and Mayfun is removed for the 3rd time at this game. Fido's stunned up and locked down and unable to press his buttons in this game of League of Legends, and it is a game because there are 12 kills in 12 minutes for Mammoth.
6,000 gold in the lead. Kaiser W does find its mark on the Voice as well, and he is completely dissuaded from being down in that bottom lane. This is a tower that is inevitably going to fall, but they'll summon the Rift Herald to make sure that it happens even faster. Voice stuck in a bush, just watching as his life flashes before his eyes, and this game slips away before it could even be in his fingers to grasp.
Chain so stylish right now. He's got the boots with the fur online nice and early. He's feeling himself in this game. My MVP, quite honestly, for this series, popping off in game 1 and seemingly doing the same here in game 2 as well. Untouchable, really. Let's check in to see how it reflects in the goal as an overall. And, I mean, what a divide. Same story again, top of the chart.
Voice has the most gold in his team right now as Shinky uses his flash to get out to safety there. And if Voice has the most gold in his team and you've just watched him sit back unable to touch Cheon, who has 2 items done at 13 minutes. That's not a bad timing for 1. And Boots 2 done. He has all of that and an extra 3,000 gold worth of map gold right now just sitting in his pockets for free.
He's rocked up to a sale and picked up a number of bargains, that's for sure. He is feeling very good about his chances here. And he's now putting together a bit of a montage, it has to be said. Tien on the other side is going to look to try and get collapsed upon. Body slam goes in. Instantly he says, nah, not going to happen. Goes unstoppable. Jukes out the flag and drag. Says, I'll take that 1v2. Looks to try and do as much as he can with the Ravenous Hydra Leech. But not to be the case here, and does get taken down.
Your son may hex flash over that mid wall. They just watched support recall. certainly was looking for it. We'll get the flash out of Voice. This is why I like Yersun, by the way. That's predictable in an aggressive, in a good way, right? It's like it's a good decision to do that. Voice gets punished, but Voice gets punished because someone recalls on vision in front of them. So it's not even necessarily Voice's fault, though you could argue he should back away, right? He is dealing with the repercussions or the actions of the rest of his squad. Teleport going to be used here as well from the Annie to catch top wave in the stead of Tien, who went down just having a biff, fighting his way through every situation. A couple of one-outs in top lane.
That certainly won't deter him from taking him on again, that's for sure. He'll have another crack every single time the opportunity is presented to himself. But you can't help but look at the overall scoreboard and think, okay, 5-0 on the Kaiser, a 4-0 tank jungle Poppy. Nobody from the side of Kanga can exist into that.
15 minutes in, the Rift Herald second one is going to spawn. That's a teleport right in the face of Yersun, who's just going to simply find Mayfan. That's a really aggressive teleport position.
It certainly is.
Olaf not here yet. No teleport on the Olaf. Let's give Mammoth 10 seconds. Olaf here now. Kanga will obviously see that. What will they do in response to this?
Split decision making right now, splitting a 3-2 stack as he is going to hit the Ragnarok. In jumps the collapse, instantly destroyed Voice. He gets popped. Again, just cannot play the game. 3-man Magnetstorm Yersun. What on earth was that? He is literally showcasing that this bot lane from Mammoth may just be the best in the league right now. And Mayfan will graciously just walk away ever so low, bleeding and burning. But there's no Baron. I mean, we're so early into this game. That felt like a Baron fight.
Yeah, it's just going to be a Rift Herald. They'll just take the little advantage afterwards. Big thing in this fight is actually the 3-man flash Tibbers from Darjean followed through instantly, right? So Chang comes in, Voice does not exist. Darjean finds his angle, and then bang, Rel at the exact same time. So they just couple their CC together brilliantly. But for Darjean, Tibbers is drawing aggro with his damage over time. Leandra is always going to get first turret aggro. Stuck inside a Jarvan Cataclysm. From 100 to 0, he dies to just the tower.
Unfortunate.
You hate to see it.
He's an absolute patriot, though. Died for his team, got it done. What a beautiful engage that we got to see in slow-mo there. Mammoth certainly have picked it up a gear. And continue to be the team to watch, in my eyes at least, going into playoffs to try and upset the balance of those top 4 from before. 17 minutes in, though, and so close to a 10k lead. It's just insurmountable.
How much of that is going to be in China, right? Like 10,000 gold lead. The difference between these 80 carries is prolific. Mind you, a 509 Poppy is going to have a whole wealth of money in his pocket, so nothing to scoff at here for the entirety of the Mammoth roster. And once again, just showing their caliber of individual skill. This is not something that comes as a surprise to anyone who's watching the LCO right now, knowing that Mammoth individually are good enough. You've seen them go toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in our league on that individual level. It's the post-lane plays where they have suffered, where they've been learning and developing. Not even really being given the opportunity in a series like this to play that post-Baron fight. They're just so far ahead. They force until they win.
Enforcing so successfully. There is another turret. That makes it 3. Fairly effortless at this point here, Rusty. The Herald is going to be deployed, and if they can find a second turret here, 10k will be that magic number that will be acquired. Keeper's Verdict being lined up and ready to go. Fights against it in the end.
The threatening Heli Poppy. They will stop the charge. There you go. That's something. Their base stays alive. Gold lead stretches definitely in the favor of Mammoth still, though 11,000. Feeling very insurmountable 18 minutes in. Poppy ultimate this time just going to be used. But another inner turret falls in mid lane. The map is blown wide open. This is the best they can do. What you're seeing right now is the best they can do is just trade.
Yeah. It's 5 turrets to nothing right now, and it really is Mayfan saying, I will make that trade. I will claim at least
to this tower. Don't you dare.
I'm scared for a second. I felt like that ramped up tower was going to get it done. It was iframe perfect. It was very, very close. Too close for comfort, quite honestly, there.
Don't overstep, Voice. Your support was recalling. Drake's free. No contest. Kanga, you can see very clearly going to go back to base here. Sight set on Baron more than they would be a Drake, a few of them, but they don't really have the wards to place down either. A quick check-in with the mini-map right now, right? It's amazing that Fido's managed to get to the Gromp. How far he is covered without vision, but he knows that they're at the Drake. Mayfun's turn to be a bit too far forwards in mid.
The 1v5, the full collapse onto Cassante, forced to flush away defensively. The rest of his team just respawning and rather redeploying onto the map as such. Barreling down that mid lane. And Fido says, I do not want to be anywhere near this Baron. I need to get away. We're into a pause. We'll find out what that's all about in just a second. But I mean, the game state here, Rusty, I mean, this is so deflating if you're on the side of Kanga. How do you even consider in this brief window where you can talk things over, what is our game plan? Is it as simple as saying, throw all caution to the wind, we've just got to flip the Baron, hope for a miracle, hope that Mammoth maybe throw?
I think it's so far gone that flipping the Baron probably isn't even worth it. Stealing the Baron is probably the only choice that you have. So I actually don't think you send 5 people there. I think you send the support and the jungler and say find a path. I just machetes out in the jungle, just trying to forge a new path. Don't use something that exists already. See if you can get Fido in to steal it. But options are so limited because at the same time, what are you going to do? Go bottom while they do Baron and just die to an Olaf, right? Like there's no real win right now. Mammoth looking to deter them at the very least means Baron is just free.
Yeah.
Silly just buying time.
Fido's not interested. Went back to base, came back and went for the Krugs instead. And that alert will tell the rest of the opposition. Yep, Baron has been slain. That is surely now the final cherry on top as they go back to base, and Chan picks himself up his 3rd item, Spike. I mean, they have so much sieging pressure now.
Yeah, especially with that W evolve now on the Kai'Sa, so they're going to be seeking you out. Those missiles will be devastating. 12,000 gold at 21 minutes. Insane. Actually insane.
Certainly trying to put a case up for maybe one of the most fed games we've had this split.
And for sure, your conversation about him being the MVP, super valid, has played out of his mind, but so is your son.
For sure.
It is one of those interesting conversations where a support mate, there he goes.
Well, there you go. He said, I heard you talking shit
I'm
there,
the
Rusty.
MVP.
Shane jumps in
Watch
straight
this.
away and deletes voice. It's like it's the LPL. He's just found himself 8 kills now. I mean, every single time we see Kai'Sa on the screen, it is a double kill without fail. And with the Baron, I said they would siege, and siege they certainly did.
Yeah, my bad, your son. You're the MVP. I apologize. Looking for the end right now. Jake, Fido still alive, but 2 members is not going to be enough. Big ult, but that's it.
That's it. They're keeping on the minion wave as well to keep it in place to guarantee those fragile structures will fall on down. 22 minutes in. It's an absolute wipeout here. No contest, not really anything in it from the very first minute in this game. And with a perfect 2-0 victory like this for Mammoth, this does wonders for them. This puts them in outright 3rd, denying it from Direwolves.
20 kills, 22 minutes, and a 9-0-7 80 carry scoreline here for Chaeyeon. Fantastic performance on that Kai'Sa. Had a really good team working around him this game as well, and it does feel a little bit akin to game number 1, where we finished that game and we said, well, look, Mammoth just seemed like they were the more solid laners, they had the more solid fundamentals. I think that was still very much true in this game, but it also started in a much worse way for Kanga, right? Your AD carry just gets engaged on, has no summoner spells, started Cull, has to deal with a Rel with no flash or cleanse. Like, it's bad to start a game like that of your voice.
Big Doomer energy is what I'm getting from that one, right? I mean, level 1 and you're thinking, okay, boys, what do we do?
Big boom energy from this couch as well.
Big Boomer energy. Big
thanks.
Zoomer energy?
Zoom energy,
Thanks.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
getting involved in this.
Zoomer, Boomer, Doomer.
Oh man, well, let's say Kanga had a bit of a Doomer game. They went in strapped. They wanted to be explosive as possible. They really wanted to attack the enemy, blow them up, and instead it blew up in their faces.
Yeah, look, when Fido's playing jungle, I know his Jarvan from solo queue at least is a very popular pick, but he said he was quick in the pre-game interview, and I think that this is, you know, it's at least unexpected, right? Out of everything, they knew that they weren't going to be Mammoth in a straight-on 5v5 based on their previous games, but coming in this game, like you said, Oscar, they wanted it to be so much action, but your AD carry loses thumbs level 1, he's playing against your son on Rel,
it's just not going to be a great experience for him.
Yeah, that coupled with the fact that you have this counter strategy, you've seen them make the play, then Mayfun just flashes out of a bush and says, look, look, we're right here. And then that play's gone. And then suddenly you have no counter punch and it was just winning for Mammoth is a pretty rough way to kick it off.
In their defense, though, Kanga definitely didn't take their foot off the gas at any stage, regardless of how far behind they were, particularly looking at Fido. I think, you know, Mayfun is someone who, for those of you in solo queue who don't know, is very comfortable playing solo lane, so it's a switch that, you know, perhaps isn't as off-brand as some people may think, but they always wanted to force the narrative, and it always felt like Yosan was there particularly, and Cheon, the benefactor of so many of these plays, off a fantastic game once, have a performance like this in game 2, he's really contending for best in role, in my opinion.
100%, I'd agree with that as well. I think, yeah, just every single time we see this bot lane together, they seem to just continue to kick it up again. And just circles back to the conversation I think we had at the start of the split here, Quicksand, about like who is the best bot lane right now. And it's not as simple as just saying, yeah, raise Aladoric outright first. I think there's a lot more competition now. You've got obviously this team, you've got the Bliss bot lane, for example. The conversation becomes that much more exciting going into playoffs.
And I think that's such an interesting conversation because there are so many factors that break it down.
Oh no.
Wow.
That hurts. That really hurts to see. I mean, 4.5k from your, I mean, that's not mid. It's a bit weird to see. But your mid laner did 3.8 thousand and 4.5 from your AD carry. I'm pretty sure those three combined didn't even do as much as Cheon, just off the top of my head. So it just really speaks to how disastrous this game was. Compositionally, right, you have a Gragas, Cassante solo lanes, neither of which are going to be dropping nukes. You know, Gragas going AP, so we'll have a little bit of damage. But Aphelios is really your main source of really any consistent DPS, and just the fact that he was put so far behind means you don't have a chance in any of these skirmishes.
And that's the other thing as well, is the thought process behind Kanga's draft. I can see, okay, Jarvan, yeah, he locks down that Olaf. He can try to keep Annie in that cage. But then you said Poppy's go, and Jarvan's flag is useless. What's the thought process behind Kanga's draft?
I mean, that is the question that I think we are still asking, even though we've just watched it play out, right? It's hard to conceptualize what their draft's going to do because of the way that game played out also. You don't actually get to see any kind of strategy put into effect because it was just gone before it could start. But I feel like kind of what Max alluded towards, they picked this different draft, they picked these different laners and different strategies to throw a spanner into the works. And like, if Fido's going to jungle, it's going to be Jarvan. It's not that they're picking something else. Like, they're just putting him in the jungle role and they decided that's what they're going to do. So it's Jarvan. Now, unfortunately, right, there is that Poppy on the other side. It's not just a Jarvan. It's now a self-counter-picked 5th pick Jarvan that doesn't really get to play League of Legends.
And on that note, we've got a third caller today, this time from the region of Mammoth. Big man Sully on the line. What's up, man?
What up? What's going on?
Yeah, look, it's been a while since I've seen you. I know you and me, we were taking our headshot photos together. We were nervous, dude. I mean, at least I was. Maybe you weren't. I was nervous, bro. The camera, the lights are bright. It's spooky, man.
No, it is. It's actually, it gets awkward, you know?
Speaking of confidence, you went up against Fido in that game in the jungle. What was your reaction when you saw that Jarvan? Did you know when the Jarvan was locked in that he was going to play it? Did you have a feeling?
Well, I didn't know, but Tien was screaming with these guys before the team was set up, like before our team was set up, and he said, like, dude, he's 100% Fido Jarvan. So once he locked it in, Tien told us, and we just... But interesting thing was, like, we didn't think they played Cassante, to be honest, so that was probably also a giveaway.
Watching that game back, they probably don't play that much Cassante, but anyway, onto your question.
So, and on top of that, I mean, your draft felt great as well, combining everything together. Do you think picking up Draku as your coach really changed the way you look at the game, or at least the way you look at your behaviors around the game? Like we mentioned earlier, your fitness, your diet, sleeping right?
Oh, yeah. No, ever since we got Draku as a coach, I've starting to lose weight. That's why I'm a bit hungry and, like, I don't know if starving yourself is the way to go, but if you want to look good for Taiwan, you got to, like, do a little effort, you know?
Okay, and the last thing I wanted to finish off with was, I was thinking about this a lot with me and Max. We were talking backstage. Let's say you and the boys, your whole team Mammoth, you're all little hobbits. How tall are hobbits? They're like 3 feet. 5 my height. And you're all little hobbits. You live in the Shire, and you got given a ring that has like disastrous powers and infects the minds of anybody that picks it up. You have to go to Mount Doom to destroy it. Who are you not giving the ring to? Who is the last person in your team you would let hold the ring?
Like trusting them?
Yeah,
like,
who do you think would just cripple? They would fall to the temptations of the ring.
Yeah, like, dude, you saw Cheon, like, he just went in 1v5 at the end of that game. Like, why? We're gonna win 100%. You don't need to do anything. But he's like, I got him. Like, cool, you killed the ADC, but, you know, that was pretty risky. So, yeah, definitely not trusting Cheon. Not trusting Tien or Darjean. Fuck it, just trust me. That's all. Sorry.
Take it yourself.
Okay, yeah, look, that's fair enough. Let the jungler take it. Good luck at Mount Doom, mate. And steal your resolve. You got a big red ahead of you. Congratulations on the win today.
Cheers, thanks guys. Looking good.
Give me, I think you would fall to the temptation, mate. I don't know. I don't think I'd give it to you.
Yeah, look, probably couldn't trust myself with it, eh?
I think you just get bored. I think your biggest weakness is you've got it there.
Yeah, I
may
get
as well.
bored
Why not?
very easily, eh?
Another person I wouldn't trust. Why not?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Man's within 3 seconds.
He'd be he'd be posting on every second like, I'm right here, guys, with the ring, and suddenly
with my ride or die.
You just be getting swarmed. Yeah, you already know.
Okay, also, their MVP. Maybe they're the ones worthy of holding the ring. Who's it going to be?
Well, I already said it. I believe it was Chen, just for standout performances in both games. I think you do raise a really good point with Yersan. Had a phenomenal series as well. I think their bot lane in general just smurfed, but I would give it to Chen on this occasion. Completely agree.
If it's not Cheon, I'm leaving the broadcast.
Look,
what if it is Yersan?
Chen as well, but Yersan. I'm really a big fan of Yersan's gameplay, and he plays Alistair. What more can you ask from the man? All right, let's have a look. Who is our Dare MVP for today?
Yes!
That's the first one we've got right.
He's got one. He's done it well, Max.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great job, mate.
Thank you.
You deserve that
hey.
seat.
But that KDA is just incredible, and more so than that, 40% damage share as well, which is just, we talk about statistics, we showed them before the game, is averaging 30 to come out 21-1-13, 40% damage. This guy is just taking leaps and bounds playing alongside Yersan.
That's a carry right there.
It is.
Those are carry stats. Oof.
And maybe that funnels us into what I wanted to touch on earlier. You brought up the bot lanes. There are actually a lot of them that look really, really good.
Yeah.
What is the difference between these bot lanes, and who do you think stands at the top right now?
So to me, it's interesting because Cheon, if you guys remember back when Cheon was playing with Beats, there was a stint there where he and Beats were the most dominant bot lane in the league. And then he's come back now and he's playing with Yersan and he looks like one of the best bot laners in the league. So to me, Cheon is someone who I think, if he's paired with a support who can unlock his aggressive playstyle, like Sully was saying, he's just going to dive into the back line. Yersan's going to be right there with you, right? Yeah. So if he's paired with someone who's able to do that, I think this is the best bot lane in the league.
Okay.
That's a big
It's a bold statement this early on. I respect it.
Raze Aladoric is just simply better, right?
Lemus has been pretty unlocked recently too, though.
Yeah, he's playing with Arkia, bro. I could play with Arkia.
To be fair, Lemus Arkia as well, like you've heard it from Lemus in interviews, they're so attuned to each other that it is very akin to saying that Yersan and Cheon have like that natural synergy. We're seeing the same thing from Lemus and Arkia.
But
I don't know who's better.
Because then you got Violet to think about, then you got Praetive to think about as well. I mean, it just goes, yeah, it's just too tough. So tough to call this early on. So Max has got the big kahunas, mate, but I'm going to sit back and be a passenger.
We can eat our fill with this argument, and we can eat our fill with the Menulog Mealtime, which will be coming up right after this break. We'll see you guys then.
Yersan's forced to back away. He was the one to look to try and pull the trigger to start things off first and foremost. Cataclysm is there. Will they decide to use it? Mayfun tries to take out Darjean. There is the kill confirmed. Fido acting as the mid laner to still get the job done. In goes Yersan with the crash down onto 2. And we do trade 1-1. Hook again, connect as you need it. Trey on the 1, looking to be taken on down, but he's not got any more